Sandra all the time is here with the cold hard truth. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama, call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. They always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, they calling Sandra. And
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth telling, more problem solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you. All right, K-Man, rise and shine. It is Friday. How's everybody doing? Happy Friday. I see the early risers. Give me one quick second. Gonna be with you in just a jiffy. Hold on. Trying to get my camera sorted out here. All right, give me one momento. Un momento, por favor. Let's see. All right, one second. Mm-hmm. All right, folks. Good morning. How's everyone doing? Trying to figure out my camera. Can't find itself. What a hot mess. All right. We will do our best to get that going. Yes. Okay. All right, let's give it a minute. Seems like it's being a little bit temperamental this morning. All right, let's unplug it and plug it back in. Oftentimes that is the magic bullet. When it says can't be found, you go, honey chill. Are you sure you can't be found? Okay, everybody's good? Happy Friday. It is the last Friday of November, in case you missed the memo. And wow, then we just skid right into the beautiful month of December. So I know some of you celebrated American Thanksgiving, and then some of you are going to do it again on Sunday. I think, putting Cayman Thanksgiving on the first Sunday of December, right after American Thanksgiving, somebody was not thinking about what that means for Caymanians, because, Lord, that means that we're going to be eating basically 2 Thanksgiving dinners in a space of like a couple days, which is pretty crazy. So, big shout out to Wendy. I got a Thanksgiving lunch yesterday. Thank you so much. Had it for dinner. And so I had my little plate, some turkey and ham and lots of trimmings. And I decided kind of last minute, I guess, although I knew I had turkey coming. Big shout out to Kevin, who's going to let me try my first deep fried turkey. When I first heard of it, I thought, is this a thing? Who eats deep fried turkey? And then I was told, girl, you are missing out. If you don't know about deep fried turkey, you are surely missing out. So I'm going to try it. I say most things you can try once in life. It's not going to kill you. Most things, not everything, but most things you can try once in life. So this will be my opportunity to try some deep fried turkey. Sounds like fun. I am certainly looking forward to it. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll let you guys know on Monday how it goes. Okay. 936-2626. Telephone lines are open. We're going to do a Cayman Voices segment for the last bit of the show today. And then up until then, we'll just have some open mic opportunities. So I had lots of people messaging and commenting on some of the content that we've been covering over the last couple of days. A lot of you just sit back sort of quietly and you listen and you make your observations. And then, there are those of you who will send me those observations on WhatsApp. So thank you so much for that. By the way, just a quick note. There was someone who was inquiring about the bulk waste pickup. And I think people have gotten confused about this because there is no bulk waste pickup in the month of December. So there's a bit of confusion because they used to do it, I think, for a couple of years around this time, and then they reverted back to like a different schedule. And so some of you believe that the bulk waste pickup is continuing to happen when it's not. So you're actually littering is what you're doing by putting your bulk waste out there. Nobody's going to pick it up. So you might want to figure out a plan B. Yeah? Because the government is not picking it up. So I don't know. Do they need to do more advertising around that to let you guys know that there is no bulk waste pickup in the month of December? So if you're listening this morning and you one of those people who thought that there was and you were getting ready to put your stuff out there, please don't. Because what an eyesore for Christmas. I mean, refrigerators and heavy equipment all over the place when there simply is no one to collect it. So I did mention it to DEH, so I'm not sure if they're going to post something or if they're going to let you guys know what the situation is. But in the meantime, if you were thinking, because this is what happens, you see other people doing it and you think, oh, maybe I got it wrong. So I'll put out something as well. And of course, that's not right. So you can, however, let me just do a shameless plug. There are companies around the island that allow you to purchase, or not really purchase, but rent one of the big containers so that you can come and, they'll drop it off at your house. You stack up all your stuff that you're trying to get rid of, and then they'll come and pick up the container full and they'll dispose of it. So that's always an option that might be more viable for you. And I don't think I did it once, and I don't recall it breaking the budget in any way. So I think it's a reasonably priced thing if you're doing like a big cleanup and you've got old used furniture and all sorts of stuff that you're trying to get rid of. It's a good idea. Okay, so just that government is not going to pick it up. That's the point I'm making. All right. Let's keep it moving, honey child. Any fantastic Good Friday deals around the place? I know some of you wait until somebody was just telling me yesterday that, oh my gosh, my TV's busted. I want to go buy a new TV. So they were going to go check out the Good Friday deals. Just be careful with TVs because, they're not all created equal in terms of brands. And there's one brand, I can't remember the name of it now. It's like an off-label brand. Sometimes the off-label brands are made by some of the larger companies, or there's like Best Buy that makes their own brand of TVs and then they call it something else. But a lot of times they're not compatible with, certain other devices, and you just have issues potentially. So just be careful is all I would say. I've seen before where, we sell these smart boxes and not only are they not really compatible with the smart boxes, but on top of that, we can't even program the remote because it just doesn't recognize that TV. So kind of bizarre and weird, but there you go. So I personally stick with an LG or a Samsung for my TVs, and they tend to cover what they need to. Mm-hmm. All right, let's do a birthday shout out this morning. Lots of birthdays coming up in the month of December. So I want to make sure that everyone gets to have a fantastic birthday. I tell you what, there comes a point in time, honey child, where every birthday really, really counts. It's important. Mm-hmm. You get to appreciate how incredibly short life is. We have a friend right now who just got a diagnosis that is not good news. And so we're going to just pray for that person. Such a shocker. Pretty much, they've been told this is it. Have friends come and visit and say their respective goodbyes. It's so hard because I don't like hospitals. If you ever see me visit a hospital, honey child, it's one of the few times that I go. I'm not fond of visiting people in the hospital at all, but what you gonna do? Sometimes you gotta just put your own reservations aside and just get it done. So, quite an unfortunate situation, quite frankly. Ay. All right, so these things are tough, especially this time of year. But let's celebrate what we can, right? Certain things we just simply have no control over. So we want to do a big birthday shout out this morning to super fan, the one and only Lavana. Look at that. Fabulous 53 years old. She's just a little toops older than me. I was a toddler. She was a toddler, I should say, when I was born. So big birthday shout out to Lavana. What's on the menu today, Lavana? You doing a little Thanksgiving special for today, rolling into the weekend? And good morning to Eddie Powell. I saw you post, Eddie. I can't keep up with you because you're here, there, and everywhere. So when I see your post, I'm like, is Eddie in Cayman? I can't quite figure it out because he's all over the place. So I saw you post a picture with a parrot that said you were in Cayman, but I wasn't sure if that was like an older picture and you were just resharing it or what. Fresh Joe, good morning. Fresh Joe has a great message, says if you can be anything today, be good. I like that. Suey Cooper, how you doing, honey chow? So good to see you. Aliano says he's going to stick with Samsung, LG, Sony are the top TV brands. Yeah, definitely. I think I've had more LGs than I've had anything else, but at the moment we've got a couple LGs, I think a couple Sonys, but definitely. Samsungs and LGs. I don't know that I've had a Sony. I don't kind of think I have a Sony monitor anywhere or a computer or TV. Even my monitors, the ones I'm using right now for my computer, one's an LG and one's a Samsung. They were both LG, and then that one went bad on me, and I had to buy a new one recently, some months ago, and so that one ended up being a Samsung. Yeah, the guy sold us and all kind of features. So I was like, okay, honey, chill. If you say so. All right, let's check the camera. I think I got it back on. Is it just me or it looks a little bit crooked? Let's see. Yeah, okay. I think that's better. Now, where are those glasses? Oh, I'm wearing them. Oh my gosh. What a hot mess. Yeah. I don't miss the days when I had my LASIK surgery. I do miss the days, I should say, when I had my LASIK surgery and I didn't have to wear glasses. You know, when you wear glasses, sometimes you put them down, you can't find them. It's just a hot mess. All right, so continue to take my antibiotics, although my apologies, I forgot to send out the show links. Oops. Give me a second, honey chow. I took out my antibiotics the other day. Yesterday, in fact. I took one out because I was going to go on the road. And then I don't know where I put it. I think I put it somewhere and I can't find it. So I don't know how that works. Like, can I go back to the pharmacist and say, oops, I'm going to have a good look around because I didn't leave the house before I missed them. So I'm like, okay, they have to be here somewhere, right? All right, I'll try to find it. Let me send out the links. My apologies. Friday brain today. Yeah. Okay. I try to send out at least the YouTube and the Facebook links and the channel every morning. All right, honey chill. All right, there we go. 9362626. El número de teléfono. There you go. Wonderful. And let me send it to a few of the groups. I normally send it to the Windsor Park Community Group and the Washington Boulevard Community Group as well. Big shout out to those people this beautiful morning. All right, let me see what else is going on. Thanks for the reminder on that one. Good morning to Paul. How are you? Stephen joining us from the UK, wishing Lavana a happy birthday. Patricia Blake is in the house. Sherry Ann says, yes, hire a truck. Yes, you can get the big dumpsters. They work very, very well if you have a lot of stuff. I always try to donate as much stuff as I can, you know? So they always say what's one man's trash is another man's treasure. Well, I try to take care of my stuff where it's nobody's trash. Clothes, listen, sometimes my clothes giveaways are like, oh gosh, I never got to wear that. Like brand new sort of vibe, you know? So I figure, well, somebody else can benefit from it. So yeah, I need some food because I got to take my antibiotics. Oh my God, these are really rough on my stomach. Ugh. I hate when they're a bit much. So I'm going to request some scrambled eggs, protein, and toast with butter, please. Because I need something that's going to kind of stick to me a little bit. So yeah, so I need to find the rest of the antibiotics. I'll walk around after the show and look for them. So, oh my gosh, one of them is broken in here. That one's like falling apart. All right. Yep, got my water. Siobhan, good morning. There's multiple Siobhans on the show, and you guys are always confusing and thinking it's the one from West Bay. This is Siobhan Stewart. We have Siobhan, which is spelled differently. Oh gosh, thinking of the last name now. Hold on. That's a different Siobhan. Hold on one second. I've been looking at some recipes, by the way, because I think that I want to try something new and different. So there's Siobhan Hyde, which a lot of you, when I mention Siobhan, that's who y'all think I'm talking about. But most of the time I'm not, because I don't think that Siobhan is ever in the comment section. Like, she tends to call. How does the other Siobhan spell her name again? Oh my gosh, it's an unusual spelling. She'll probably comment here in a second. But yes, there's a couple different, and they all spell, the three that I'm thinking of right now, all spell their name a little bit differently as well. Barbara G, Diamond Princess, good morning to Abby. Wee Wee Woltaro says, good morning from the other side of the world. Oh, where are you? The Philippines? Hello. Morning, Stephanie Brooks. Deborah Bodden is here. Aliano, this has now become, somebody else said this to me yesterday, in the words of, they actually called me, and they're like, in the words of Johan Moxham, who got blazed up on the show today, because I need to go back and watch it. I said, Johan, you have become insta-famous. Right here on CMR, people are borrowing his phrases. What a day when you got to borrow a phrase from Johan. That is so funny. So Andrew says he has a breaking news story. The gym in Westby is closing. Well, that's no breaking story, because, and he won't pay back the membership. Well, I was going to tell you that the part that he's closing would be zero surprise to me, because he's being sued by the landlords for non-payment of rent. Y'all know I got to keep up on the court stuff. So let me just have a look and I'll tell you. They sued him couple, must be a couple months by now. By the way, he's in the spot right above Subway, right? That's the original. You know, I used to be in Centennial Towers. I was the second tenant to open. Really the first tenant, because the first ones were Subway and they own the building. The Burks own the building. So yeah, that was my, what's the Cayman Judicial website again? They changed some stuff recently. I don't know. So yeah, so that was my, I'm the first person to fit it out that building. And do you know, if that's the spot that he's in, I must admit, I haven't been there since it's been a gym, because I think it was an MP's office. Like, what's her name? Tar Rivers took it as her MP office. But the mural that you see in there with the, it's like a underwater scene of kind of like Stingray City. So you see the beautiful stingray. I had that painted, hand painted, and put on that wall. And every person who's rented it since, I guess, couldn't bring themselves to paint over it. Oh, somebody suing the Department of Driver's Licensing? Well, that's unusual. Huh. Wonder what that's about. Let me have a look at that case for a quick second, a hot minute. Hold on. So yeah, so it's such a beautiful mural. And I wonder if you guys can guess who actually painted it. Let's do a trivia question today. This is a good trivia question. Yes. Surely we can find a prize in honor of Thanksgiving around the place. All right. Question, trivia question of the day. Who painted that beautiful Stingray City scene there in West Bay? If you haven't seen it, maybe go by and have a look. It's absolutely gorgeous. 936, you got to call in. 936-2626. Ooh, somebody's getting a divorce. Oh, what's this one? Honey child. When I start looking at the cause list, I'm like, oh my God. So yes, apparently, I don't know what's going on. I don't know exactly who owns the gym, but apparently he's been having issues not being able to pay his rent, which, you know, I guess as a landlord, you can understand you got to give people notice when that happens. But let me try to understand now. This is the month of, well, I guess it depends on when you bought your membership. So if you bought it in January and it was for a year, well, it's about to run out anyway. But what does the contract say? Did you guys sign a contract? Like, how does that work? I guess if he's broken, busted, it might make sense why he's not going to be able to pay it back. Probably not a matter if he doesn't want to, he just doesn't have the money. And you got to think about these things when you are in a particular type of business. This is an interesting case. What is this one? Nosa. Let me have a read of this one. Oh my God. What? Okay. Lots of hot stuff on the cause list. Yeah, but I did see that, and I think we even mentioned it on the show one day because I was kind of go through it. Winston Prendergast suing somebody again. Oh, this is family court. Aldwin Philip Prendergast. Is that like is she divorcing somebody? She was featured recently in another lawsuit, right? What a mess. Interesting. There's a couple estate ones here. Oh. Okay. Scott Saunders versus Tina Robin Saunders. That's a family petition. That's a divorce. Lots of divorces in Cayman, I can tell you. Pro Collect versus Robert Swayze. Oh no. Oh, somebody money. Who's Stephanie T. Bodden and Rico L. Bodden? That's a divorce again. Oh my Lord. It's not easy, honey child. Not easy staying married, but y'all gotta see what you can do. Allison divorcing Paul. Austin divorcing Maxine. My goodness. Athalie divorcing Byron. Alyssa is divorcing Leon. Carludi and Alex. I think they probably spell that wrong. I bet you it's supposed to be Claudie. They probably put reverse the letters. Mark Allen is divorcing Amber Rose or Amber Jose. Errol divorcing Tamaza. Lord Jesus, what are y'all doing? Attorney General of the Cayman Islands versus Canon Walton. What is this about? Just a second. Oh, this is a civil case. That means that they owe government money, probably. All right, let's have a quick look. Let's have a little look-see and see what's going on. Downloads, documents, originating summons. This one is blah, 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 blah. Summary possession. This is unusual. This is only one page. Let all persons concerned appear before the judge, the law courts, blah, 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 blah. And it's just to sign attorney general. So summary possession is normally like property, like rental, but I'm not aware of government. Block 44B, Bodden Town. Okay. So let every person in occupation of the property comprised in block 44B, parcel 105, attend before the judge in chambers at the law courts. So normally when you're applying for summary possession, that's like, you know, you own the property. So that's a little bit weird. And you don't normally see government doing that. So that's very interesting. All right. Oh, these people are scandalous. All right. So you see, you're suing somebody named Doran Lionel Christian. Let's see what this is. That sometimes their stuff is very interesting because they let you go a long time. They try to work with you before they sue you. But anyway, so this guy, I guess Lionel's a guy. Defendant is and was at all mature times individual resident in the Cayman Islands, West Bay, pursuant to the customer service agreement 2022. Yada, yada, yada. In accordance with the agreement, the plaintiff supplied electricity to the premise and rendered invoices from time to time. In breach of the agreement, the defendant failed to pay the invoices and when due, as and when due. And as of April 2023, the date upon which the account was terminated, the combined principal balance owed was $4,245.99. Demand letter sent, failed to comply with the demand letter. So they want their money for their electricity. And then you've got interest being accrued on that. Yes, sir. All right. So this person's suing the DMV. Let's see if we can figure out what she's suing for. Statement of claims. Yes. Protection of life and property, yada, yada, yada. Oh, something happened at Breakers? Okay. May 2022. Oh. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Ay, ay, ay. Hold on. I got to send this to Renee. Now, this is a good story. What? Okay, honey child. This one will definitely be on the website. Hold on. We got to get this one up. Can't call in. What? What do you mean you can't call in? Oh, I forgot I even had a question out there. Hold on. Don't tell me that Flo went and messed up my number now. Flo, y'all better not. Hold on. Let me test it. Shall I'm sitting here getting all into the cause list. Y'all see how quickly I forget about stuff. Let me test the number. I'm calling it from the other phone. It's working. Oh, you mean you can't call in because you're at work? Oh, sorry. You better find somebody to call. Yeah. All right, so we have people guessing, but nobody's called in. Y'all asleep. Y'all are definitely asleep today. And I'm here all into the court list and totally forgot. So, listen. All right. People are guessing, but you got to call in. The Irish spelling of Siobhan. Yes, SIOB. That's right. 40% of divorces, 40% of marriages in Cayman get divorced. Well, the marriages don't get divorced, the people get divorced, but yes. Divorce rate per 1,000 people according to 2010. Well, honey child, we need some more updated statistics than that. So Russia, we could totally understand how people would be miserable in Russia, for real. Not for nothing, but yes. Belarus, Ukraine, Moldova, and the Cayman Islands in 5th place back in 2010. United States, we're on par with the US, by the way, 3.4 per 1,000. And then Bermuda, which is interesting, they're at 3.3. Cuba is at 3.2. So imagine if you're a Caymanian and you married a Cuban, chances not looking too good. Lithuania, 3.10. It's interesting that like the Baltic states are in there. Russia, Ukraine, Lithuania, Moldova, like that part of, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yes. All right. All right. So apparently that land 44B 105 belongs to the Crown. It's that little old rundown abandoned house across from the street from the public beach in Bodden Town. Okay. Must be squatters in there. Often wondered why government didn't tear that down, as it's been an ISO for years. Oh, and the government owns it? Take a picture and send me of the house if you're in the area. We would be the highest with capitalism as a rule. Oh, corner of Monument Road. I think I have an idea, but I'm not really picturing the house. All right, y'all don't want to win no prizes today. My goodness. Okay. Well, I'm not going to force you to call in. I'm just saying you could win a nice gift certificate. Yeah, Irvlin, that Hisense, that's one of the off brands that you got to kind of be careful with. Morning, Robert. Thank you, Senor Waltero. So Sandy looking good from the Philippines. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. Adrian, good morning from the Philippines. So good to see you. Damara is joining us from New York. No, it says WV. Where's WV? West Virginia? Miss Beulah, good morning. Vicky says there's a $1 sale at the Red Cross this afternoon, 5 p.m. until 9 p.m. upstairs. Speaking of community events, this weekend, the ladies, the pink ladies, is that what they're called? They're having their Christmas bazaar, I believe. But they're having a Christmas event, it's a fundraising event at the Ark on, I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. So let me just double check. Hold on. I'm going to double check my events list. Go out and support them. Christmas lighting at Cayman Bay is this weekend as well. So that'll be tomorrow evening, weather permitting, because they're supposed to have it a couple weeks ago and the weather did not cooperate with that. So unfortunately, they couldn't have it. Let me just check my events. So lots of things coming up, obviously, for Christmas. Yes. So the annual Pink Ladies Christmas Bazaar at the Ark is going to be tomorrow at 2:00 from 2 to 5. So please go and support them. I think we have it on our community calendar as well. So make sure you check out. Yeah. Okay. Yes, so check out that event and let me just see what else is coming up. I got a ticket. Is that Rotary that's doing their $40,000 giveaway? So I bought 2 tickets. So wish me luck. What else is going on? So yes, Camana Bay tree lightings this week tomorrow at 5. Ooh, somebody's gonna try their hand, I think. Good morning, caller.
Morning, is it Al Ebanks?
No, it's not Al. Good guess though. I must say that's a good guess, but unfortunately, no, it's not Al. Is Al here? Daisy was thinking it was Al as well. Nope. We got a lot of talented Caymanians, and Al is certainly one of them. Anthony says, what's going on with the police Sergeant Watson case in Grand Court, where they used the police request for ICT information to track their boyfriend through Digicel? We're waiting on the outcome. I think they were going to start to wrap that case up because it's been going on forever. But I do believe that they were going to start to wrap that up here shortly. So that's a jury trial. So you know how jury trials can go. Tracy was guessing Jet Martinez. No, who's Jet Martinez? Nope. Sherry Ann wishing everybody a happy birthday today. First Lady, happy Friday. Anthony says Cannon Walton is squatting on government property across from the Cowood Beach. Oh, who's Cannon Walton? Good morning, caller. Hello? What's up, connection? Hello, caller? Uh-oh, can't hear you. Try again. Oh, squatters. Wow. You know, that's so interesting. Thanks, Carrie Tibbetts, because, yeah, I've actually never seen a case with squatters before. So that's kind of interesting. You don't see it often, I guess. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy. How are you?
Happy Friday. Bad. Happy Friday. You going to take a stab at it?
Is it Jet Martinez?
No. Who is Jet Martinez? No. I don't know who Jet Martinez is. No, but not. Now, keep in mind that I'm gonna give you all a big hint because this might help you quite a bit. So I moved into that building, like I said, when they first opened. So that would have been pre-Ivan. So I don't know how old Jet Martinez is, but maybe he wasn't even old enough to be painting then. So pre-Ivan, think about what Caymanian artists would have been painting at that level, because it's an absolutely beautiful mural. Mm-hmm. So yeah, government trying to kick somebody off their land. Wow. I'm surprised they allowed them to squat, to stay there that long, to get to, try to get squatters' rights. Interesting. Huh. All right, caller, good morning.
Good morning, Sandy.
Morning, darling. How you doing?
How are you?
Very, very good.
Happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday. Thank you. You're going to
taking a guess.
Yes, take a guess at it.
Bendel Heights?
No. That's a good one, though.
No.
Nope, not Mr. Hydes. No. Good guess. Good guess.
Thank you.
All right, You're most welcome. Pamela Small is suing somebody. Who's Martin Hakad, the owner of an apartment complex known as San Sebastian, located in South Sound. Oh, she's suing him over some landlord stuff. Oh my gosh. Wow, that one's interesting. Pages 1 of how many? That can't be right. $3,500. She wants her security deposit back. All right, let's go at it again. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Could you repeat the question for me?
All right, so the question is, there is a unit in West Bay. Somebody was saying today that I guess the guy who has the gym is moving out. And so it used to be the former office of MP Rivers, former Minister Rivers. But I actually was the first tenant in there. And so one of the fit out things that I did, because when you walk in, you get a shell. I'm the one who put the tile down, baseboards, all kind of stuff. So one of the things I did in that room was there's a big room there, and I had a mural put up on the wall Who painted that mural?
And you say which building this is?
This is Centennial Towers at the 4-way stop in West Bay. Thank you. So, Caymanian artists.
Name on the top of my tongue.
I see people guessing in the comment section.
Is it Carlos Garcia?
Nope. No. So this would have been early 2000s before Hurricane Ivan.
Oh, Randy Shalat.
Nope. Good guess though. I feel like you're getting closer. All right. 9362626. Miss Lassie, was she even alive then? When did Miss Lassie die? Carlos says the house by Bordentown Public Beach belongs to the Woods family that live in Texas. But this has to be government property because government isn't going to go back and sort out somebody else's property. Good morning, caller.
Sarah Julian?
No.
Or Ray Banker.
Man, you guys
Then
are...
Then it was Ray Banker then.
Nope.
Have a
You
good
guys
day.
are, thank you. There are some people who are guessing it, but those people are not calling in. So, let's see. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Morning.
I want to take a look at the question. Is it
Sure.
Mr. Stewart?
Mr. Stewart?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I don't even know who Mr. Stewart is, but no.
Okay.
All right. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy. Is it Gordon Solomon?
Yes. Ding, 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 ding.
Yes.
Congratulations. It is Gordon Solomon. He did such an amazing job. I remember I was there trying to do all sorts of work, setting up computers in the fit out. And every night Gordon would come because I think he was still working at the time, his full-time job. He would come at night and spend countless hours there. It's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, painting that mural and putting all the fine details in it. It is so absolutely beautiful. So much so that like I said, everybody has kept it since then, as far as I know. All right. So.
And my told me as he built when my daughter were in 15, he built painted it beautiful.
Oh,
beautiful.
Wow. Nice.
And good work.
Yeah, he's so amazingly talented. So yeah, there were people in the comment section who were guessing it, but they weren't calling in. All right, hold on. Let me take down your number now. Hold on 1 second here. And so I'm going to give you a $100 gift certificate.
Wow.
Yes. To you shop at Foster's Honey Jail.
Foster's or Cost You Less.
Anyone. All right, we can do Cost You Less.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, honey. I'll be in touch.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, folks, we got a winner. We just got a winner. All right. So I'll message Miss Mary over at Cost You Less and get the gift certificate sorted out. All right. So good job. You guys, some of y'all were guessing it, but you got to call in. So we have a winner. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. I know you made mention earlier of the bulk pickup.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering if maybe you could sort out another Christmas thing. Did they increase the allowance again to 1,000, the custom? Do you know about that?
Oh, not that I'm aware of. However, let me check. All right, let me inquire about that.
Thank you.
All right. So yes, because I think they did that last year, and that was helpful to a lot of people for the import duty. Okay, let me find out. Hello, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning. We have a winner already, but who were you going to guess?
I was going to say Al.
Oh, no, it wasn't Al, but that was a good guess, but it wasn't Al.
Okay, thanks.
All right, darling. Thank you. All right, folks. Silverback Gorilla says, Sandra, regarding the DVDL numbers, why does no one answer the phone? The number. Been calling for the past 2 days and no one has picked up. Oh. I don't know. However, I'm going to send this. Which number are you calling, Silverback? I've never had a reason to call them in years, but let me see here now. So people were guessing Christian. This person said Carlos Garcia, David K. Ebanks, Randy Shillette, Simon Tatum. They were all over the place, except not the correct one. Congratulations to Gordon. He's, I've known Gordon, and how I met him was we both worked at Maples and Calder, actually. And he used to live around the corner from me when I was in Newlands. So I knew Gordon, and I wanted something in my office space that was aesthetically pleasing and that represented Cayman. And so he came in and he looked at the wall space and he's like, well, what are you thinking? I'm like, I want something beautiful and colorful, and who doesn't like a good ocean scene? And so he did this beautiful mural for me. Oh my gosh, so gorgeous. Mm-hmm. So yeah, fantastic. And Gordon, look at that. It's lived on because no one else has wanted to remove it, which is good. I'm glad they have it. Okay, Marshall says, I know Cannon Walton. I went to school with him. He is Eldon Walton's brother. Eldon Walton is one of the guys that got killed in the double murder by the Belafonte guy from Northside. Oh, what a mix-up. Lord Jesus. Take the wheel. You know, Richard, I don't have a picture of it. I wonder now that tenant is moving out, if the Burks would allow me to go in there and take a picture. You think we could do that? Well, there's no harm in asking. You know, they might say yes. I wonder how 20 years later, how it has held up. Siobhan, I was just talking about you this morning. Yes, this is Siobhan. This Siobhan spells her name completely different. Nat B says, yes, they increased the allowance to 1,000 for this year. Because if they have, we haven't heard anything about it. All right, let me try to find out. I'm checking my people over at Customs. Yes, the number to call in, 936-2626. But we have a winner already. But you can call in about anything else you want. Congratulations to the lovely lady who won. All right, let me see here now. So I wonder if he's closing down the gym. Is he going to have like gym equipment for sale? I mean, it's interesting because I would have thought the four-way stop in West Bay. I mean, West Bay has, how many people live in West Bay? Good lot of people. And God knows, they're always building a whole new complex every time you drive into West Bay. But I wonder, where do you guys go for the gym? Because I mean, that close, I would have thought that gym would have done all right. Although I don't know how big it is. Because when you go to the gym, you need space. Like, you don't want to be on top of people and stuff. And if my memory serves me correctly, that original space, and I don't know if he took, I mean, maybe he took 2 units, I'm not sure. But I feel like those units were not designed to, I'm pretty sure that's a concrete wall between that unit and the next unit. So it wouldn't be easy to take 2 spaces, but they were at least 1,000 square feet. So I don't know if that's enough for a gym though, because like I said, gym equipment is big. You need space. So I've never been on the inside, so I have no clue what it looks like. But you know, unfortunately, if you're a business owner, you guys have to excuse me while I eat because I've got to try to take the medication on time. And I definitely have to take it with food because it's a killer. We're gonna have some toast and eggs this morning. But I should say that it's hard to run any business successfully. And then a lot of people make very amateurish mistakes with businesses. So, you know, y'all think that the second you open up a business, it's going to be profitable. You start to spend the money. You're not reinvesting the money in the business. You don't advertise. So somebody was telling me recently there was a local restaurant who was asking people to support the restaurant because, they were having some financial problems. And I thought, except I've never even heard of the restaurant. And there are some businesses that there's so much saturation that it's not a good business at all to go into. So think about it, folks, when you're thinking about what you want to do. If there's one of you in every corner, it could be challenging. Top businesses: restaurants, bars, beauty salons, and anything related to like massage parlors, that sort of thing. More than enough of those in Cayman. And you have to really do something to stand out. Trust me. Churches, although I think they continue to be somewhat profitable. What else? Honestly, you couldn't convince me to get involved in any of those businesses. The restaurant business in particular is really, really challenging because restaurant equipment is expensive, right? Food is expensive. And then you tend to need a lot of staff because you've got chefs in the background, cooks, whatever you want to call them, and then people up front. Unless it's strictly a takeout restaurant, you need space for like sitting and, so you need bigger space. All right. So Nat B says it was announced on Radio Cayman. Well, the rest of us would like to know. Let me have a look at my email, see if I missed anything. I have to chuckle at government when they only announce things on Radio Cayman because I hate to tell you, not everybody's listening over there. All right. Wanted man Romario Brown is now in custody. Yay, another criminal off the street, 23 years old. What a mess. They were looking for him for several burglaries. Remember that one? All right. Water Authority has a public announcement. Early office closure. Tuesday, December the 29th. Oh, that's today. Sorry. Early office closure on December the 6th. Cashiers closing at 11:30 a.m. and the office is closing at 12:30. The authority apologizes for any inconvenience this might cause. They don't say why they're closing, but maybe like a staff function or something that happens a lot this time of the year. Let me see here now. I don't see anything about that. I'm still looking. So they sent out a thing yesterday about the weekend wraps up. This weekend wraps up the Pirates Week Festival activities. I hate to tell you, but I don't think people were very invested in Pirates Week at all this year. It was probably in the category of a dismal failure. Over $500,000, and they still can't get the advertising right. Oh, this is for Cayman Brat. I think we wrapped up last weekend, right? I don't even know. What a waste of time. Anywho, let me see what else. Potluck dinner. Oh, invite to potluck dinner. So I don't see anything yet from. Well, I don't know how Radio Cayman has that information. Good for them, but I don't see where government has actually issued a press release. I mean, I'm still looking, to be fair. Department of Environment did an advisory. We got to make sure that we got that story up here shortly. Interruption of water in Baden Town. That was yesterday. Unveiling of a banner at Edna Moyle School. DVDL has public holiday hours. I guess we can post that up for you guys. Yeah, I don't see it. Strange. All right. National Conservation Council, put down your calendar. December the 4th at 2 p.m. They're having their general meeting. December the 4th at 2 p.m. We'll see if we can live stream that. I'm going to flag that one to follow up. Yes. Free HIV testing across Grand Cayman in observance of World AIDS Day. So make sure you know your HIV status. You know, always good to get tested. So it says currently some 39.9 million people around the world have HIV/AIDS, and approximately 5.4 million don't know that they're infected with the virus and need to be treated or reach with HIV testing services. Wow. So many? 5.4 million? Whoa. My goodness. So I still don't see anything at all. All right, we'll reach out to them, and of course, we will definitely confirm and let you guys know. All right, let me see here. Thanks, Nat B. Saturation is a factor for most businesses. Absolutely, Simon. And unfortunately, most businesses don't. They don't think about it. Anthony says gym is a dead end business. Think of it: $3,000 a month times 12 equals $36,000 a year for gym membership. $400 a year. That's 90 members. Who don't buy anything from you all year long. So how do you keep up with the expenses? Well, I tell you what probably happens with gyms is that they have classes and stuff. So I haven't been to a gym in a minute. I say that and I chuckle, but you know what? I haven't. But I do think, aren't there add-on options? Like you can pop in for classes and pay for that. And what's the going rate for gym membership these days? I think the price of everything has gone up. So I'm sure gym memberships are likewise expensive. They've gone up too. Morning, Cheryl. I don't know. What's the going rate for gym membership? And then, personal trainers, you pay them, right? And they probably pay the gym something to be able to offer their personal training services at that location. How else can you make money with a gym membership? The thing with gym memberships, though, is that you tend to have people who spend money on them and don't go. Probably a good 70% of people buy a gym membership, and after the first couple months, they fall off. And then some gym Kings, like I said, I haven't been there in a long time, but they obviously have a wider model because they've got the skating rink, they've got the bowling alley, the little miniature bowling alley, they've got the squash courts. Do people still go there and play squash? Man, I haven't played squash in a long time. I don't even have a squash racket anymore. I used to love to go play squash in the mornings. I love racket sports, so I've never played badminton, but I've done tennis, squash, now pickleball. Aliano says restaurants can work. You just need to target a demographic of consumers because a good plate of cooked food is hard to pass over. But the problem is everybody's cooking the same cooked food. Like, think about how many local restaurants there are and what stands out. Like what makes you go to a particular restaurant over a next one? Location. Location is key for any business model. Trust and believe, right? So location matters. Obviously, when it comes to food, the food quality definitely does matter. But customer service, which is something that is missed here a lot for local businesses, matters significantly. So, if you got to pop in and sit down and you got to wait because nobody's paying you any attention, and, there's a particular local restaurant that I'm going to tell y'all I hardly go to anymore, and that's Welly's. And it's not that I don't like Welly's food. Welly's food is good. I ain't got no problems with the food. But boy, they don't believe in answering their phone. And a lot of times I just want to place a to-go order. And Lord Jesus, if you can't answer the phone, I can't order the food, and then I get frustrated. Oh my God, Miss Anita. Thank you so much. So she says, good morning, Sandra. It seems like every day, another day, real estate agency and or physiotherapy business is opening. We need to talk about real estate. Real estate in particular is one that really gets my goat. So we need to talk about that. And let me see here. But we're going to get there. All righty. Let me see here now. Hold on one second. Okay. Somebody, Tweenie Fuss says, I can't stand talking with a full mouth. Well, it's actually not full, believe it or not. However, I have to eat because I got to take this medication. And so if I don't take it on time and I don't eat, I'm going to have some stomach problems as a result of it. So you're going to have to forgive me, honey child. I'm sure you'll be fine, though. Silverback says, Sandra, please investigate the DVDL number for me. All right. Let me see. What time do they open? Are they open already? It's 8:41. Do they open like at 9 o'clock? So let me ask you, Silverback, what kind of question do you have for them? Do you need to reach like a specific location, or would any location do? DVDL. Okay, man. Let's see what time they open. It says here that they open, contact us. All right. Let me see here now. Oh, they don't open. Oh, that's West Bay opens at 10. Breakers opens at 10. Where's the main branch? The main branch opens at 8:30 to 4. Okay, so they should be open now. They have an admin telephone number, finance manager. So tell me what your question is. So Silverback, tell me the question, and then we can give them a call. Oh yes, Anthony says, have you been keeping up with the daily showdown between Arden McLean and Delmira Bodden? And Radio came out about her credibility for the upcoming election. He's saying she's going around the community saying that he's endorsing her, seeking political leverage is heating up. Anthony? Yes, honey child. I heard the sus. In fact, hold on a second. I don't know that I can clip it. I got to be careful with this computer. I don't want to crash anything. But I do have the clip, so... Well, I need to clip it, I should say. I do have the show here. And so next week, we can delve into that. I've been getting a lot of complaints about Delmira, and I feel like, maybe to give her the benefit of the doubt, I'm happy to have a conversation, a quick chat with her, but the whole political thing is going to get crazy now. And East End looks like it is heating up to be an incredible race. And I say that, and I don't mean that in a good way. Trust and believe. So unfortunately, the people in East End, put on your seatbelts, honey child. For such a small district, by the way, what a hot mess. All right. Irvin says, yes, Kings is fully active. That's my gym. And they still play squash there, and their membership is pretty decent. Good stuff. Ray says, well, Liz, they're too busy to answer the phone. So, yes, I mean, I guess they're a product of their own success, but that's not good for people like me because I'm not calling you 50 times to try and get no plate of food when so many people have the same plate of food available, you know? So I've always said that. He says, well, like they're printing money with the amount of business that they're doing. So yeah, I've always said that, maybe some businesses are so busy and they can't handle a volume beyond that. The weird thing about it though, El Ray, is they're only busy, like super busy, between certain hours of the day when they're the lunch orders. So there is a very, very easy solution if they would only spend the time and energy to just get it done, So you're looking for the one in Red Bay. What's the question though? Give me the question and we'll give them a call. So Red Bay, that's the main location. All right, let's give them a call. Because I don't want to just call them and say hello. All right, what's your question, honey chair?
You have reached the Department of Vehicle and Driver's Licensing.
Okay.
If you know your party's extension, please dial it now. Otherwise, please choose from the following options.
All right.
For the customer service unit, press 1. For the finance unit, press 2. For inspection, press 3. For the West Bay office, press
customer service.
You are being transferred to 1.
ESID number. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Visit www.dvdl.gov.ky. The DVDL Customer Support Unit is now open. Customers can book appointments for written and driving tests through DVDL's hotline at 945.
You have reached the Department of Vehicle and Driver's Licensing. If you know your party's extension, please dial it now. Otherwise, please choose from the following options. For the customer service unit, press 1. For the finance unit, press 2.
I see the problem, Silverback.
2, 1.
ESID number. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Visit www.dvdl.gov.ky. The DVDL Customer Support Unit is now open. Customers can book appointments for written and driving tests through DVDL's hotline at 945-83.
You have reached the Department of Vehicle and Driver's Licensing. If you know your party's extension, please dial it now. Otherwise, please choose.
You are being transferred to 5513. I'm sorry, the person you're trying to reach is unavailable at this time. Begin speaking after the tone.
So, Silverback, I see your problem. Let's start dialing some direct numbers now to see if anybody's going to answer. And don't worry, we got the head of the division, so we can call him here in a second.
You have reached the Department of Vehicle and Driver's Licensing, extension 55.
Yay. So we got customer service, we got the admin telephone. Let's try that one directly. Anybody gonna answer this morning? Interesting.
The person you're trying to reach is unavailable at this time.
Child, honey child, that one's on the phone. Let's try Mr. David himself. I don't know if this is still his number, but let's try it. It's ringing.
Hello, good morning. May I help you?
Mr. David Dixon, good morning.
Good morning. Who is this?
This is Sandra Hill. How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm on vacation. I'm in Nebraska.
Oh, I'm so sorry to bother you. We've been trying, just a quick question. We've been trying to get the office, but nobody seems to be answering the phone. Can you?
The telephone systems have been giving problems for a while, and we're trying to slow to rectify it.
Oh, so your system isn't working. Y'all should let people know that. So what's the best way if somebody has a question because they did online renewal and they didn't get a confirmation email?
Janine, if you visit the website, you'll see the number for the help desk to reach them by email.
Oh, okay. So just email the help desk. All right.
Let us email the help desk, and they turn around at the help desk within 24 hours.
Okay. So, we'll put out something about the phone lines because people don't know and they're just calling.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No problem.
All right. Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Good.
Okay, my dear. Bye-bye. Well, there you go. It's not working, but it sure is ringing on our end. I guess it's not ringing for them. I'm not sure. I wonder if the Cayman Brack number works. All right. Silverback, he says the phones aren't working, but of course we didn't know that. So there's the email address, dvdl.helpdesk@gov.ky. Send them a message. Simone says, well, Liz should assign someone, to answer the phone. Simone, it's such an easy solution. I recommended it like 20 years ago. During the peak hours, they're having people answering the phone, helping the cashier. They need just 1 to 2. One, if it's someone who has experience handling a high demand switchboard, just have that person sit there and bing, 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 answer, take the orders. Everything's computerized. Bam, 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 bam. You put it in, it goes straight to the kitchen. It's not rocket science, but for some reason, Liz has refused to address this issue. And so I no longer, not for a regular lunch, I can't be bothered. But big shout out to Liz for catering around Christmas time, because I always get them to help me with the Christmas food if I can. Like I'll order some stuff from them. The food is good. This is the thing about Liz. The food is good. I have no issues with the pricing. It's just that customer service why I will not go. And my poor husband, I think he prefers Liz sometimes to some of my Caymanian cooks. And, I'm like, I'm sorry, honey. I'm not going there. Sorry for you. You either going to eat what I'm getting on a Sunday from my little friend, or I don't know what you're going to eat. Abby says, ask them why 3 drops of rain at 8:30 shuts down inspections for the entire day, please. It's so annoying. Really? It only takes that? My Lord. All right, let's see. We got a caller calling in. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandra.
Morning, honey. How are you doing?
Yes, I want you to explain something on the radio.
Okay.
When you talk about the Cayman Island being in debt, I was talking to someone and trying to explain the debt to them, but they are saying that they are not aware that we actually borrowed money from anyone. So why are we in debt, and why are we going to be putting our children in debt? So I want you to explain.
Oh, so they don't think that government has to borrow money?
They don't think they don't know who government borrow money from. And what is putting us into debt. I tried to explain, but they weren't getting it.
Okay.
So can you do an explanation on that?
I'll try my best. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Yes.
So government borrows money all the time, and which means that they don't have the full. You only borrow money, hopefully, if you need it, borrow money for fun, especially when you're a government. And so there's different ways in which government can get revenue. One way is the obvious way, taxes and fees, which we see those types of fees all the time. So every time you pay a government fee, whether it is customs duties, which is one of the ways they collect a lot of fees, work permit fees, business licensing fees, company registration fees. There's bank and corporate entities, they pay different types of fees. So there's a lot of fee structures in place, right? Planning fees. So you pay planning fees, you're trying to build a house, all that money that you're complaining about that you have to pay to planning, that goes into the government coffers, so to speak. So government does make money. Now, government provides services to the public. They try to recoup some of the costs of providing those services, but they're not really considered a for-profit business model, if you will. All right. And there's lots of areas of government that lose money. So who loses money? Cayman Airways. The airline business is a very, very tough business to be in. It's not profitable for a whole lot of people. It's expensive to have these multi-million-dollar planes. It's expensive. Fuel is expensive. So y'all complain about going to the gas station. Imagine the fuel costs for running an entity like Cayman Airways. They have staff complements and all this stuff. So they're not a profitable entity by themselves if you were just to look at them. And so government has to subsidize Cayman Airways. Government subsidizes the turtle farm, sometimes to the tune of millions and millions of dollars, right? So these entities, although they have, like, there's an entry fee to get into the turtle farm, and you might pay if you go there and have lunch. So they do have some money that's coming in. It's not enough to cover their expenses. So government is responsible for that. Now, where you have a discrepancy is where government earnings and what government has to spend, doesn't match up. So if you had a break-even point, that would be one thing. Government always talks about, we have millions in reserves, but the reason why they can have money in reserves, is you need to look at the bigger picture, is the fact that they actually borrow money to do different things, especially capital projects. So $150 million, I think, was recently borrowed by this government. In fact, let me just have a quick look. In February of 2023, government borrowed $150 million, sorry, $150, we wish, $150 million from Butterfield Bank. Now, this government just borrowed more money again. So this announcement came that in 2022, government borrowed $150 million US from Butterfield Bank in 2022. And it's a large part of the more than $400 million that government is reportedly borrowing from a consortium of banks. So the bank, this was disclosed in their report, their fourth quarter report and full report for 2022, that yes, the $150 million was borrowed. Sometimes they'll have an amount kind of like pre-approved, and I guess they draw down on it when it is required. Let me see here. So yeah, I mean, it's normal. Governments do borrow money, and certainly they can choose who they're borrowing money from. But in this case, this $150 million is a 15-year loan at 3.25%. And it says in this CMR article, you can go back and check these things out, reportedly protected the government from increased costs of borrowing in the face of rising interest rates. So they were able to get a fixed interest rate on that particular loan for a 15-year period. So yeah, I mean, governments are, it's like an entity, and they have to pay their bills. So they have maintenance fees for buildings. They have staff to pay. Their biggest financial obligation, when we were looking at the report yesterday, tends to be around salaries and staff benefits, and obviously the infrastructure build out and support of those buildings. So this is why it's really, really important to see how and where government actually spends money. Because if you're spending more money than you have, or something happens to your projection. So, we're coming into 2024, they'll say, okay, we're projected to make X millions of dollars. Like we expect, company registration fees to bring in this much, work permits, all these different areas of revenue where how the money comes into government. But what happens if there is a decrease in company registration? What happens if there's a decrease in work permit fees? What happens if people don't import as much building material? And so then there's a decrease in, the customs duty, right? Customs tends to support a lot of government in terms of the fact that everything that's brought into this island pretty much attracts a custom duty. Customs makes a lot of money that helps, sorry, not just their department, but everybody in government keep afloat. That's why, honey child, this time of year, they're going to be scrutinizing you even more to ensure that you're declaring everything, because Lord knows the government needs the money. So you guys will remember that back in December of last year as well, the PPM opposition was saying that they were very, very concerned that the UPM government was going to borrow money in order to finance its capital spending projects. And they said that that was a mistake because they were saddling future generations with the bill of their grand plans, is a quote now from former leader Roy Tibbetts, while also creating a free-for-all when it comes to operational expenditure. So the PAT government borrowed $350 million. And then the UPM government, as soon as she got in, there was an announcement made almost right away that she would be borrowing, under the leadership of Premier Juliana O'Connor-Connolly, that she'd be borrowing $150 million. So that is a staggering $500 million in new borrowing since the last election that has been added to the government books. Yeah, that's why $100 million school is nothing to sneeze at. You know, if you don't need to spend $100 million, if you can do something of quality for, $15, $20 million and make it happen. They need to go talk to the people over at Island Primary and figure out how they were able to build that school for 3 times the amount of students in the Brack school and at a fraction of the cost. So then they talked about new revenue. So the projections for new revenue, so there was going to be planned hike in fees and duties, and some 52 million of new revenue was expected for 2024 and 80 million expected in 2025. So it's fair to say we're broke in a sense because we're not in the best financial position. Even the Auditor General's office has raised some red flags that the government is getting too close to the limits that are allowable before the UK government is going to step in and said, you've now run afoul of the FFR, the Framework for Fiscal Responsibility. And maybe next week, what we need to do is we need to talk about what the FFR is and what that framework actually is. So you borrow money when you don't have it. And that's for capital projects. That's true of individuals. So when you want to buy a house, you don't have $300,000. You don't have $500,000. You have to go to the bank. And the bank will say, right, we're happy to loan you that money. You got to come up with your little 5%, 10%, whatever, plus your stamp duties and all these other fees. We're happy to loan you the majority of that money for you to obtain this house, obtain this car, whatever it is that you're borrowing, and then you're going to pay them back with interest. And the interest, the larger the amount, the more interest you're paying. You can believe that. And so at the end of the day, over the 15 or 20 years, by the time you pay off that loan, you have paid the amount that you borrowed, you paid for that at least 3, 4, 5 times over. We should be concerned about the government's fiscal position. And it's easy for them to jump up and say, oh, supposedly we've got $20 million in reserves. That's no money when you just borrowing $500 million. And you're hemorrhaging money because you're spending it like how people drink water. Hopefully that answers the question. It helps a little bit. But we'll keep, hammering away at these things, because I think it is important for people to understand how governments work. Where do governments get their money from? How do governments choose to spend their money? And how that impacts all of us. Government does not operate in isolation. Believe me, right? No. Their decisions impact us in a real way every single day. Their financial prudence or lack thereof impacts us every single day. Nolly says, please, that's a lie. They just don't care about taking calls. How can the system be broken over a year? Well, we saw that one of the people was obviously on the phone because, yeah, that's the message you get when somebody's on a phone. Jacqueline Ebanks, good morning, says, and $10 million went to each civil servant so that civil servants can get a $2,000 Christmas present. We talked about this in detail yesterday, Jackie. I don't know if you watch the show, but it's going to be way more than $10 million because that amount, when Premier Juliana O'Connor Conley made that announcement, she did not include all of the SCGCs, which, by the way, based on the numbers that I've been able to obtain, the size of core government, 3,500 plus employees, the SCGCs is about the same size. So it's ridiculous the amount of money that this government is spending. And there's no concern for it. She wants us to believe that there's no reason to be worried, and that's absolutely wrong. Alric Lindsay in the house. Good morning, Alric. Alric says on the profiling of that $150 million was $27 million in 2024, $123 million in 2025, for a total of $150 million. And that ability of the government to borrow is actually contained in the Appropriation Act for the 2 years, yet as any other matter of outputs, equity investments, executive assets, expenditure, all of those are specified in the Appropriation Act as well as the ability to borrow. Madam Chair, to a date. A little bit complicated, Alric, for the average person to digest that, but we can certainly try to break that down a little bit more. Damien says, if we lose tourism due to no beach or the U.S. gets involved in a war, that will decrease the circulation of money. Again, Damien, I want you to put your mind to what I said yesterday, that in terms of the two pillars of the economy, tourism doesn't bring in as much as financial services. You should be more concerned about losing financial services, which is 70% of what is brought into this country, than tourism. During COVID, the country was shut down, and obviously tourism would have been directly impacted. And yet, this country maintained a very, very good position. You know why? Because of the strength of the financial services industry. They can sit anywhere in the world and make money, and they do. And they continue to operate, and money continued to move around the world, including the Cayman Islands. So you need to focus on what matters. What's bringing in 70% of the money in your household is because if you lose that, dog gonna eat your supper. That's where you need to be most concerned. Mellow Fellow says, according to the 2023 annual economic report from the ESO, central government outstanding debt was at $248.6 million in 2020, $222.7 million in 2021, $504.6 million in 2022, and $453.2 million in 2023. What a mess. Thank you, Alric. It says Financial Secretary's statement on new borrowing was in Finance Committee. Yeah, so local banks are going to be bidding on that $150 million loan facility, and we're attempting to put in place a facility to allow the government to borrow up to $150 million from the future. Okay, so we have borrowed zero thus far, huh? No, they borrowed money last year and this year. Didn't she just announce that they borrowed more money again? Or was that the $150 million from last year? Damien says, so you think work permit fees is a big part of government coffers? I don't know the percentage. I can try to check on that. I don't know what percentage of government coffers that brings in. I mean, it is a percentage. In my mind, I don't think it's as large as people think, because I know we say this all the time, like, oh, government making too much money off of work permit fees. The areas I think where they make the most money is customs and property tax. So again, when Caymanians say, we don't want anybody to buy your property, let's put a moratorium on property purchases, especially by expats, you've got to understand what you're actually saying. That 7.5% stamp duty that is paid every single time property is exchanged. When I say exchange, I mean purchased and sold. They're sold and purchased, comprises a lot of government's money. So if you're going to directly hit an area where government makes money by saying, nope, leave that for Caymanians, nobody sells land, blah, 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 then you need to analyze where the money is going to come from to replace that. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. How are you today?
Morning, dear. Not bad. How you doing?
I'm thankful.
Good.
There are a few things I wanted that you hit on today, like the real estate. I mean, you hardly see Caymanians, and if they are, they're not pushed as much. They push the others. You see a lot of the other persons up front.
Yeah, we're gonna have a whole show on the state of real estate in the Cayman Islands. We are coming to that hopefully next week.
We need to. That is very important because, that's what they can do, and many of the young people also. But if they will feel discouraged because they realize that, the way it is. Because I talk to young people, and sometimes they say, "You ever see one Cayman out there on the front of the picture or being advertised on Facebook?" And and you have to encourage them that you could go after you advertise yourself, But all of this, I'm glad you're going to take that on. Another one is like I see people that's here on work permit, and they're actually selling cars. And every week you see that person. I guess they fix them up and they're selling, and they're on work permit. I think immigration needs to really check in phones. And I've had one that stood by my shop, telling other people that they could fix the phone cheaper somewhere else. Someone told me about it. So one day I just happened to go there, and he was there. And I said, "Hello, you're by my door looking to steal my customers? Who do you work for?" He told me who they work for. And I said, "Well, let me tell you something. The next time I catch you around here trying to steal my customer, I am going to write the immigration about you, or I'm going to go down there. They're going to have to come get you for me. Because these are my customers. Let them choose where they would like to go. If they don't want to come to me, at least they choose. But you don't come by my door taking my customers." So he told me who the person was. I went over to the person because I know the person, and I said, "Why would you send your worker? You got to work, and you send them to take my customers." The person let me know. "So only you want to survive? You don't think I want to survive too?" I said, "Listen, I'm not telling you that you what to do with your life, but what I'm telling you is that you could survive on what you accomplished. Don't come and try to steal my customers that are coming to me, because I want everybody to survive, but I have actually had to work. When I came out, it was nobody to give me anything. I had to find my customers. I had to advertise. I have good technicians, and that's what brought customers, because another one will tell someone, my technicians are great. Do the same work, advertise, do whatever, but don't send it, because the next time it won't be like this. I'm coming to you as a person, towards a person, because it was another Caymanian. And yes, and she has really nasty behavior. And she don't speak to me until this day. Yeah, she was upset that I came to tell her that. And, I couldn't believe that she's done that, because she used to come into my store all the time, and she would say, "Oh, well, how much you sell this? And how much is this? And how you do this? And how you do that?" And I was like, and she went and she bought everything almost like what I had. And she was right around the back doing the same thing. Just didn't know that she would actually come and try to take my customers.
Oh, wow.
And then I had another one that used to actually, another location would take my customers. Well, he's out of business. He's people has just got rid of him because that's how he was. So, we get these people, they bring them here and they see you doing a business. They think it's successful. They don't know how much tears and sweat and everything you've had to reach where you are. So they see you and think, and it dropped down. No, I had to work. There was times that, maybe I didn't get the amount of money to cover all of my, bills and so, but it had to be covered from somewhere else. Yeah. So these are the things. So now when I actually has established myself and my customers is coming, they're stealing my customers, and it was one of my customers that told me about it. And I just happened to come one day and the guy was there. So we got a lot going on here. And when you got to pay a business license and you got to pay, like you say, work permits, because my field is actually, very expensive for the workers because what they do, the technician and so forth, and you got to pay light, water, pension, health, and all of those things. And then you got people that's here on a work permit selling all of this stuff on EK Trade and this way, Facebook and all over. I think immigration needs to actually go on those sites, see the person, because they're repeated persons that are actually doing it. And I see it all the time. And this is something that, I would like you to address with immigration, because it's unfair if it's Canadians or foreigners and we have a business and we have a legal right to have business, it's unfair to us that we pay all of the bills or all of the required fees that we need to pay, and somebody's there home laying down selling, and they could afford, you got your phone for $200 and they could afford to put to $150 because they don't pay duties, they don't pay shipping, they don't pay, like we do, right? Because I got to pay my percentage to government, my shipping and my suppliers, right? And then I got staff to pay, I got rent to pay, light and water. That's why sometimes a customer called me, they said, oh, I saw this on Facebook for $160, you got it for $210. I said, listen, they could afford to put it for $150 if I was home selling and I didn't have
you don't
a
have any
business
overhead.
place.
Yeah,
Exactly. I
of
could,
course.
but I said I cannot afford to. Plus, you're going to get warranty because, if I say a month, 2 months, I have to honor that once it wasn't water damage or whatever it is. So this is where actually they take away revenue from us as business people that pays, all of our fees and so forth. And they get there and they could go home with more money than me and you and live better than me and you because they come, they work it, and then they're also selling. That should not take place. That is that all of these things that we're seeing should not take place because I think it's against the law. It's not a thing, it's against the law. So why is they not seeing this? I mean, I see one particular group, they sell so much in the group. And I'm like, how is it? And it's, and I know it's permits that most of them have, and I'm like, how does that work?
We do have another caller on the line, so leave me there with those thoughts, but very, very, very salient points for sure. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Morning.
That last caller is absolutely right.
Yes.
I see it all the time. Or you know what they do too? They sell stuff under the guise of garage sale.
Right. Yeah.
They're having a garage sale and they set up a table in whatever in town, and that's their garage sale.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely.
And you can't.
See where that's a problem.
The frequency, and I know we had this conversation before, even with one of our own. I remember Mr. Curtis and Kim and Brack. He's always selling these cars, and he said, "Well, I don't think that I need a business license to sell it because these are my own personal cars, whatever." And I said, "Yeah, but let's appreciate what you're doing. The frequency with which you are selling these items, it at some point becomes a business, whether that is your intention or not. You are in the business. If you're posting a vehicle every single week that you're selling, you are now in the business of selling vehicles. I mean." They might be secondhand vehicles, but you're still in the business of selling vehicles. So some good points there for sure. And I think that it's even more challenging and hurtful when the people who are doing it, who are actually selling it, are not even Caymanians. They're work permit holders who don't have a proper business license to be able to do what they do. But yes, they can go on these groups in Cayman, buy and sell Cayman or whatever, and constantly selling stuff. And it's not their personal items, that it's like a one-off thing, right? So there's a distinction. Like I can, I'm doing my house cleaning or whatever right now. That's fair. I can sell those items. But if I'm doing that every single week on a regular and consistent basis, that becomes a business. And that's where.
And if you and I can see it, why can't enforcement agencies see it? Like why it's so prevalent, but yet nothing is being done. Thank you.
Yep. Absolutely. Sometimes they claim that they don't see it because they are, busy, and there's so much enforcement that they're trying to do, and so many people trying to break the law. That's a challenge for them. So what I encourage people to do is, when you see something, when you see the roadside vendor, and I know some of you have sent it to CMR as an example, you're like, listen, Sandy, this isn't right. We need to curtail this situation. And we post it up. I can tell you, in those instances, enforcement is out there in no time trying to ascertain exactly what's going on. And we've seen even down by Fairbanks weekends, people out there selling stuff, and we have definitely put a stop to it. Once we post up something, enforcement goes out there and they're like, hold on a second, what on earth is going on? So, yeah. All right. So listen, we've got a Cayman Voices segment. I want you guys to sit back and actually enjoy this interview. It was a very, very interesting one to do. So our radio listeners, I'm aware that you're going to just catch a small portion of it, but switch over to social media, because I think that you're going to find this interview particularly interesting. And you'll see why, who the person is. He has written a book, and it's quite an interesting book to read for sure. So sit back, listen to this edition of Cayman Voices, folks. Cayman Voices was a dream that I had for several years now. It's about taking the power of storytelling to embrace our own collective history as a people. Through our individual stories, we're able to see the common thread that binds us together as one. One person's personal journey has become our collective culture, heritage, and history. This series will show people from all walks of life sitting down with me as the host and going through their life journey. Sometimes there are unknown elements of their lives, but ultimately we're going to walk away having learned something new with every person that we sit down with. I guess I would explain it as an exploration of our story. I'm naturally curious about people and their lives, so Cayman Voices is exciting and allows me to capture this for everyone to enjoy. We are seeking out Caymanians, multi-generational, as well as some who have moved here to, uproot their entire lives and to make this their home. This dream would not be possible without some sponsorship, and so I'd like to thank the DART organization for stepping up to the plate to ensure that we're able to deliver regular monthly content for our viewers to enjoy. So sit back, kick up your feet, turn up the radio, relax, and listen to Cayman Voices. All right, so I'm very, very pleased to have the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Derek Haynes. He's got a wonderful new book called The Hazardous Waters. We're going to talk about that a little bit throughout this interview. But of course, as with most of our Cayman Voices, interviews, we want to find out a little bit about who you are, what your background is, where you've come from. As Caymanians would say, who you fa? So tell us a bit about, 5-year-old Mr. Derek. Where were you then, and what sort of environment were you in?
I lived in Leicester. That's where I was born. I was born in my parents' bed, which was the thing to do in those days,
right,
back in 1948.
And this is in the UK?
In the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Leicester City is 100 miles north of London if you go straight up the M1 motorway.
Right.
The city is probably around a 200,000 people mark now.
Mm-hmm.
Very multicultural nowadays. It's probably 70 something, maybe even 80% now of people have come from overseas.
Wow.
There was a big influx from Uganda back in the early 60s when Idi Amin threw out people from the subcontinent.
Right.
And that actually developed our city very quickly because it was starting to die a little bit. And then we had these very energetic folk come in from overseas who got jewelry stores and sari stores and greengroceries and all the Asian foods that people love nowadays. And so we became the centre of curry in the United Kingdom, really.
Really? That's interesting.
Unfortunately, we also became the biggest heroin sort of distributors outside of London, but that's by the by. So my dad was what we call a bus conductor. Like, collected the tickets on the buses. My mum was a housewife. I was the middle of 5 children.
Okay.
And so we lived in terraced house, very much working class area for us and background. And so that's where I grew up. The schools were close enough for me to run to and from and come home for lunch. I don't think we called it lunch in those days. I don't think the word had been invented, but it was one of those sort of things, if you know what I mean. And
yes.
So it was enjoyable, and it went from there that at the junior school back in those days had something called the 11 plus, and if you qualified that 11 plus, you could go to the grammar school or one of the grammar schools. And I went to a school called Wiggiston Boys School, and which was famous for, it was a very good school actually, and I'm guilty of not taking full advantage of it. The Attenborough brothers, I'm sure you've heard about David and Richard, they both went to that school. I was about 20 years behind them, so I don't think they'd know me if they found me in their soup.
Yeah.
However, that's where I went up into do my O-levels, and not the best of students, it has to be said. So coming to the end of the 5th year after doing the O-levels, a friend of mine who later was my best man at our wedding, said that the police were recruiting cadets, which you had to be sort of 16 years and above to get in. And the other interesting thing and good thing for me, because I enjoy rugby, is that they were also got a rugby team that played with the cadets and with the police.
Okay.
So Phil, who's this mate of mine, he said, "What about it?" And I said, "Well, I ain't got anything else I've planned." So we went up to the headquarters. Unfortunately, Phil didn't get in because his eyesight wasn't good enough.
So interesting.
And I was told to stand on tippy toe in order to get through the height rules because I was quite a short little fella in those days and grew a few inches in the end. And the sergeant, who was recruitment sergeant, he was very happy to see us there. I think more with Phil, it's a shame he didn't get in because he was an excellent rugby player, whereas I was a hooker, but of what we call dirt tracker standard, you know. So enjoyed it, but not that brilliant.
Right.
And he asked me how many O-levels I was going to get, and I actually immediately said, I think at least 6, Sergeant, you know, which was a little bit optimistic as it turned out. But by the time the results came and I'd only got 3, I was already in the cadets, and that started my career. This was, so I walked into the police station as a cadet on the 6th of September 1965.
Wow. And how old were you then?
I was just short of my 17th birthday.
Wow.
So a couple of years in the cadets, and that was fun.
Now let's slow down a little bit, because I'm interested to know about your town. I mean, back then you said it was, you know, kind of on the decline. What was an average day like? Like, what did you guys? You were middle child, 5 kids, middle class family. School, you said it's just up the street. You could run back and forth to school.
Yeah, it's about a mile away.
In those days, what was expected of young Derek? Like, what did your parents expect you to do as a kid? Was it just school? You guys had chores at home?
Well, I was in the, you know, outside of school, if you like, which the school was about a mile away. So it's a good little run each day.
Yeah.
Probably built me up to do some running later.
Right.
but outside of school, I would go to in the earlier years to the Wolf Cub Pack, which now I think they're called Cub Scouts nowadays, but it used to be the Wolf Cubs then.
Yes.
And then when you get to about 10 or 11, you move into the Scout Troop, and so I did that. And so, if you like, that was where we went on for our vacations because my folks couldn't afford to, go on holiday as such. My dad, being a bus conductor, he could get us cheap tickets for a day trip and things like that.
Okay.
So my vacation, if that's what you want to call it, would be the Scout camp. You'd go away for a few days with the Scouts, camping in the fields and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So that was but it was a good thing for me because you're getting disciplined stuff outside. There was obviously the Scouts, their creed is to be honest and everything along that line. So I think that sort of built stuff to me for my later life. There was a recreation ground only just off the next street along. As I say, it's all terraced houses then and shared entries, outside toilet and all that sort of thing. So
okay.
But the recce, as we call the recreation ground, it got some swings on it and so. But we, as lads would go down, put your couple of coats down and play soccer. And later, as it became into rugby, of course, and that was my best love, really, playing rugby. But it was like that, and there was also a swimming pool or swimming baths there as well. And in that was the place where a lot of people with our sort of background would go and have their bath for the week, whether you needed it or not. So it was that sort of experience.
Yes. Okay.
The other thing, I suppose, which shaped me up to a lot to help me become a bit more independent was that my siblings, my older brother was 7 years older than me, my sister was 5 years, and then there was another 5 years to my next younger brother, and another 5 years after that to my youngest one. So I didn't really ever get to know them because the age, as you're a kid,
right?
You're not hanging around with older or younger people. So and then just to add to that, my next younger brother Roy, when he at 5 years of age, had a fit, as they used to call them then, a seizure, I think you would say nowadays.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be epilepsy, but with other problems. And long story short, later on, I made investigations when we were married. Helen and myself were married. We wanted to have children, so I checked that out to make sure that nothing's going to be carried on. And the best they could do to say, no, we think that your brother was starved of oxygen at birth. And of course, we're all born in the bed at home in those days, so these things did go wrong. And my brother, he's still alive, but he's 71 now, and he's been in care since he was 5.
Oh wow!
So, I do like to see him when I go over to the UK. I always go and see him, take him for a pint, so that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah.
So that was the background, but of course it built me an independence based on things like the Scouts and mates going doing things. So, so if you like, closeness with the family didn't happen as much as some people would like to do.
Yeah.
So that was that, and then obviously going through school and then getting into the cadet corps as it was. And then they sent me, there's different courses, so I went on outward bound courses. There was one in Wales, which was interesting. It was run by policemen from who had medals from the two wars that had been there. They were in World War II and then Korean War.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they were tough hombres. So they had us marching in the cold waters and the freezing water and so on. But it was great. You didn't probably appreciate it at the time, but it was good for you. And then in the next year, I was actually sent to a sea school in Abu Dhabi, so that helped me along as well, especially coming out to the West Indies in some years off in the future. But interesting stuff, and it taught you quite a bit. It got me into mountaineering, which became a really love of mine as well. So that all those sort of things, and also leadership potential sort of stuff, and going on treks and all really outdoor, getting to know things. So it helped me in later life, I suppose. And then I took over the Venture Scout unit for that area, where the lads that were in it were only 2 or 3 years younger than me. I still know them. I mean, if I go to the UK, they'll give me a shout and say, hey, come on. And I'd go and one or two have passed on now.
Yes.
But they're all big blokes with families, and they've all done well. They I think followed our scout sort of background as well, and actually become real good citizens and rugby players as well.
So interesting. Yeah. So lifelong policing. I mean, it's hard to think in this day and age where they say the average, I guess, millennial is going to have like 5 or 6 careers like throughout their lifetime. And God knows you change so many jobs and you pivot into so many different areas. But, there was a time when you kind of set off on a path, and a lot of times that's the path that you stayed on. And I'm sure over the years you've seen so much and you've been exposed to so much. So let's talk a little bit about how you go from this town in the UK outside of London to even hearing about the Cayman Islands. How did you hear about us? I mean, a little dot on the map. Most times back then we weren't even on the map.
That's true. In actual fact, the job that brought me here to the Cayman Islands wasn't something that I picked up when I was in the UK.
Oh, okay.
I was very fortunate. From that September joining the cadets in 1965, and I was then in the police until February in 06. So it's just over 40 years in the police environment. I was extremely fortunate as a young police officer. I had my first felony arrest on the very first day after I was sworn in.
Wow.
I was going to the scout unit to meet with the guys.
Yeah.
And as I turned and went to pull up outside the scout unit, I saw this fella running up the street, and I knew him as a scoundrel and a nasty piece of work. And down in the bottom end of the street, there was a group of people shouting and so on. So I drove down to them. I said, I'm a police officer. I've been sworn in that very morning.
Right.
So I've got about 10 or 12 hours now as a policeman. And sort of bravely, I suppose, probably the wrong word. But anyway, I said, I'm a police officer, what's going on? And
yes.
they said, they've just robbed a house up there. I said, get on 999, call the police and say there's a policeman in pursuit. But I'm going to jump back in my car, and I said I'm going to see if I can find him. So that kicked it off, and I actually drove down and I caught up with these three. They were running down a side street. The guy that I'd actually seen turned around and ran off, but I knew who he was. So there was no need to chase him. I wanted to chase the other two guys. I weren't sure who they were.
Yeah.
And a foot chase developed. I jumped out of the car then and chased him. And fortunately for me, one guy who was turned out to be the younger brother of the guy who's gone the other way, he's in front, and I managed to grab hold of the next guy, and after a bit of a struggle I took him and I managed to arrest him. Took him to a local chip shop where the chippy called the 999 to get the police. It's 999 in England.
Yes.
And the cops turned up then with the patrol cars and grabbed him up. And then fortunately he spilt the beans on everybody. He was on the run from a junior prison, what they call Borstal.
Right.
And his mate too. And they'd done 14 burglaries on the way to come back to Leicester.
Oh, wow.
And they admitted them all, so it cleared up a lot of stuff. And so during the night, I managed to get all three of them arrested and took them up and so on. So that was a good start to it.
Absolutely.
And fortunately for me, it went that way, and I wanted to be a detective.
Yes.
And of course, getting involved in those sort of arrests, and I was lucky. It seemed every time I turned a corner somewhere, somebody'd be doing something naughty. And
okay. You were just always the right place at the right time.
Just the right time. I mean, quite interesting. There's a couple of stories in the book that you've mentioned where I was actually misbehaving.
Yeah.
I'd gone to meet a mate off the next shift who had said, we can get a cup of tea at the nurse's home, which was always a sort of favourite place for policemen to go and get a cup of tea. And I was just going in, and the radio came on. By that time, they'd actually got radios for us, because when we first started, there was no such thing as radios or cell phones or anything. You're on your own on the beat.
Yeah.
But at this time, we'd got personal radios, and the sergeant was calling me. Being off your beat is quite a serious matter. So you'd be on a fizzer, and as a youngster, that could be quite serious for your career. So I said to Alan, Alan, I'm going to go back to the beat. So I raced back, And I thought, what can I do to keep out of the way? How can I explain this to the sergeant?
Yeah.
So I parked up in a little alleyway, and I used to on nights, and this is about 2 a.m.
Yeah.
I used to on nights, I always had an anorak that I took, a greenish colour it was actually, which is no bearing on it much, but apart from the fact that you couldn't see my police buttons. You know, it was, you know, I could walk along, nobody really noticed I was a police. Leave my helmet behind and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm walking down this street, and it was well known for its second-hand shops, you know, selling stuff. A lot of it probably stolen and then taken to the stores for selling. Mm-hmm. And in fact, we used to say, "You'll get your nicked gear here," type of thing. So,
okay.
But as I'm walking along, I suddenly see a guitar. There's this second-hand shop belonging to a chap called Eddie Puskas. He was out of Poland originally. But I suddenly see a guitar going from the front of the shop towards the back of the shop, and I think it's a funny time to be window dressing, and I think, you silly devil, somebody burgling the shop. So I get on the radio and I said, look, there's a burglary, they've got suspects on property. Can you get people? But I said, don't, you know, ask them and station them so I can call them in all in at once. Right. So they try that, and this mate of mine from the next beat, here comes flying up the road with all these blues and that, everything flashing and everything. So that, obviously. So I shout to him, cover the front, Alan, I'll go around the back. And I just get there as 2 guys come charging out of this shop. And then obviously it's a fight. And unfortunately for me, because I could go a little bit, you know, in those days, but 2 against 1 is still a bit difficult. Anyway, the cops arrived in their patrol cars and lent a hand, and of course then they went into the store after they'd been put in the back of the cars. And I go in upstairs, and Eddie and his wife were sound asleep. All this crap going on.
So the shop owners were sleeping upstairs?
Yeah, they slept above the store.
Oh, wow.
So I go up there, and I hear a rustle, and I look under the bed. There's another burglar under the bed.
Oh my goodness!
I
Wow.
says, right, out, come here, and he didn't just do it. He just gave it up. You know, I knew he was in trouble. For I woke Eddie up. I said, Eddie, it's B.C. Haynes. You got a burglar under
your bed. And he had no idea.
No idea.
They were sound asleep. Oh my goodness.
We became chums after that, and he was very helpful in letting us get, you know, for intel and stuff. All these things are good for that way, you know. And not long after that, I was in a car chase, and the guy who had stolen the car crashed and jumped out, and I chasing him. Where this had happened was outside of a hotel, or it was a public house, but it was called the Imperial Hotel. And it was Indian owned, and so obviously the clientele were mainly from the subcontinent. But they saw me chasing, didn't think anything, I was just chasing this fella. And as I turned the corner, I managed to go and trip and lost my radio. So I'm still chasing this guy, but I've got no comms anymore. Anyway, I chased him for several streets, and then he tripped, and I was able to grab him up, and there was it was hell of a fight, actually. All of a sudden, this van pulls up, and the door slides open, and out jumps this gang of fellas. Right. And I thought, oh no, because I'm not sure whose side they're going to be in. And they just said, you get out of the way, boss, we'll sort him out. And poof, in they go and grab him up. And they were all outside the hotel, this pub. Okay. When I was chasing, and they decided to come and help.
So they were just citizens?
They were just citizens, and they came and said, where do you want to go, boss? I said, well, let's just take him down to the divisional headquarters, is where we went. Long story short, I got them a commendation from the chief constable, and had a little ceremony where they were, and it really helped because they knew everything that was going on in the area. And I wouldn't like to say informants, but they were excellent, and took me to the different Indian clubs. And got me, you know, introduced me. And it helped me a lot. I got a lot of information and intel that was going on around there. And consequently, I was taken into the CID very early. I usually, the guys in the CID probably got 9 or 10 years in before they actually got in there. And I'm in there as a kid, you know, just over 2 years. As soon as I'd finished my 2 years probation, I'm in as a detective. And pretty much that was my life then. But that life involved me going into different departments, and into the drugs and vice unit, back into the CID. Then I was promoted, and I went out into the countryside, just to the north of Leicester, which was interesting. and then doing protection duties as well, and so on and so forth. So, there was sort of an interest that got me into different places and a lot more experience.
Right.
But from there on, then I was a sergeant, and just 1979 came along, and I went into the Loughborough police station bar, by which time I was in the crime squad. And as we walked in, there was this character who by then was a detective inspector, but he was down in Hong Kong. And I said, "Hey, Jeff," I said, "what are you doing here? I thought you were down in Hong Kong." He said, "Yeah, Derek," he said, I'm here on vacation, but I'm doing some recruitment. Do you fancy coming to Hong Kong?" I said, "Yeah, great idea." And so he told me to just go and knock out a memo to say I'd like to go. Which, of course, in those days, there were no laptops or anything. You did it on the old typewriter.
Yeah.
And so I gave him the memo. I got home that evening and I said, "Hey, Helen, I've just..."
What? I've just signed us up for Hong Kong.
It got asked to say, the initial response was not favourable, but she warmed to the idea, and when we got to Hong Kong, it was really nice. Really enjoyed the station. So, but that was to what they call the Independent Commission Against Corruption, ICAC, which was quite an elite unit, and I was on a branch of it, investigating the police, the Royal Hong Kong Police, because there were a bunch of corruption going on there. So that was what I was doing for the next 3 years. Very interesting, beautiful place to be, and so on. I was offered another 3 years there, but after discussion we decided to go home, because I couldn't be promoted further than where I was without going home, or to Leicester. And we decided we wanted a family as well, and Helen wanted to be obviously nearer to her family, so we went back to Leicester. I was put into uniform. She'd never seen me in uniform before, so took me into the garden, took me photograph and all that sort of thing. But my time in uniform was cut short. I enjoyed it. I got youngsters on the shift, and patrolling and so on. So you were teaching as well as doing anything else. But then there were several murders, 2 or 3 murders, and then and bodies turning up on our ground, So there was a shortage, so that I was drafted back out of uniform, back to CID, and pretty much that was it for me. And then 2 children and 2 promotions later, by which time I was the chief inspector in the CID, there was an advert for people to go to the Turks and Caicos Islands, and they wanted a superintendent to go and take over the CID and the drugs squad. So I applied for it and got it, and so it was good for me because it gave me a promotion.
Right.
And that was for 2 years that I was going. It was the contract, and that was very interested.
And had you ever been to anywhere in the Caribbean before this?
No, this was my first time.
Right.
So this back in, by then now it's 1992.
Right.
In January 1992. Again, I had a great team of guys. I've been very lucky in the teams that I've worked with. And they were a good bunch of folk. A lot of, stuff with drugs and, obviously killings and stuff like that. But interesting, and it was, I suppose, not good for my career, if nothing else. And I was involved in a cocaine smuggling gang that was coming to an end. So I was extended for another year, and so by then it was looked as if we were going to go back to the UK after that 3rd year. So Helen and the kids went back to England in September to start the school year. I carried on, and then in a couple of months later, just trying to settle the affairs down now because I'm going to be leaving, I got a phone call from, you'd remember Alan Radcliffe, who used to be the Commissioner of Police. He calls me and says, "Derek, what are you doing? When's your contract up?" And I tell him. And I'd met him on the circuit because they had the Commissioner's thing, and I was also the secretary for the drug enforcement group for all drug commanders in the Caribbean.
Okay.
Eventually chairman of that group.
Yep.
But he'd met me on those. So he called me and he says, "Well, Derek, I need you to come down here, take over the drugs task force." He said, "I'll give you promotion to chief superintendent and come over for a couple of years." So it sounds fantastic.
Right.
And so, you're asking how I got to the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
That was it. I'd never been here before.
Wow.
But I met Alan up in Miami, if you like an interview, and he said, and I said, oh, I said, I'm happy to come. I said, but when we have to square it up with the British, because I was still a British officer on secondment.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I was paid by the Brits.
Yeah.
Until I got here, then I was paid by the Cayman government, but I was still a British officer. And he calls up the Brits who said, oh, it's equal opportunities and you have to advertise it. And he said, well, you can do what you like in advertise, but he's got the job. So that was me here.
Yeah. So then you had to call your wife back. She's in the UK now with the kids and say, oh, slight change of plans.
Change of plan. And I remember actually she says, well, that's what you really wanted, isn't it? I said, well, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So they came out at Easter for the school holidays and liked what they saw. I mean, it was a complete jump up in what was available here in Cayman compared to where I was. And so they all did, and the kids really enjoy it in the Caribbean and did so well here through the schools and everything else.
Yeah.
Both of them represented Cayman at rugby, Chris, and he did one character swimming.
Right.
My daughter was in the swim team for a long time, skippered it as well. So they just fell in love with the place and did well, and I think that as a result of that, the schooling and everything, they did well when they went to university and into their different careers. So they were really interested in the job that I was doing and helped out on a couple of occasions, which is in the book as well, how they really enjoyed it, and I think it helped them in the
So that would have been the mid-90s at that point when you first came here?
Yeah, I got here in February 95.
In 95, right, okay.
And so that initial sort of supposed to be here for 2 or 3 years turned into 11 until 06.
Yeah.
And of course there's quite a lot going on there, as you'll see in there. There was covert operations. We were pretty much the forward operating base for the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration. Right. We teamed up with them. We teamed up with the US Customs as well for joint activities. So some of the times we'd be actually covert inside meeting these, the gangsters. Who thought that, we were part of the drug side of the caper. And we'd actually recovered quite a bit of cocaine, 50 kilos of it on one occasion. That gave us a lot of start, because we didn't have a lot of equipment, there wasn't a lot of funding.
Right.
The Foster brothers, they were very happy to help out with helping us with information money, for instance. The Chamber of Commerce also helped, Will Pinot, and so I've always been grateful, to those. And the majority of the Cayman people were all behind us, because we'd, and to the extent that if we had a good capture, I'd ring up the radio station and say, can you put this out, they'd put on Bad Boys, what are you going to do, or something like that, just to let them know that we got.
Goodness. You got some more off the streets,
Yeah.
How much? I mean, how bad was it? I mean, I moved back in '96, but I think if you're just an average person, you don't have any idea really what's happening in the criminal underworld or with drugs or anything on this island. Was it a real issue then, and in your opinion, has it gotten worse now, or, I mean, what's the
I have difficulty. I wouldn't like to sort of weigh it up as to whether it's good, better, or worse, or worse, because there's such a lot of money in the drug industry,
right?
And of course the opposition, if you like, in Colombia, it was generally cocaine when I arrived. It was pretty much all cocaine and ganja. Of course, they still grow ganja down in Colombia, and they also in Jamaica, of course. It's quite a big deal down there. So there was a lot to do, and as we know, the different ideas with the gangsters is they'll move their product. So they went from cocaine powder to crack, and that sort of got people in and involved in as addicts and all the rest of it. But the covert operations, I feel, did a great job. The 50 kilos that I talked about, I actually saw Commissioner Gray, who got here also in '95, told him what I'd found, and I said, look, nobody knows we've got this. Are you all right if we do covert ops, including the Americans, where we put it out as bait for the fact that there's a gang in Cayman who've got this stuff.
Right.
And of course that got quite a bit of interest, and then that led to lockups, and they would come and they'd sort of want to buy the coke, and so the money that we got from that, and then later jobs, outpay for firearms, and for our unit, you know, the armory. So we got modernised. It also cars for the unit. It also gave us, when it all came online, with the cell phones, that we could actually then get into intercept and so on. So the intelligence department was most important to us. And some really good characters that were working in there. A fellow called Greg Thompson, who was a sergeant, became a sergeant shortly after I got there. And some excellent people, and he was one of them. Unfortunately, Greg later on, he was only 38 and had a stroke and passed on, which, you know, was so upsetting, as you can imagine. But you know, great character, and there was a bunch of characters in the drug task force in those days, and they were so keen to get, and they thought this idea of the covert was, you know, really good fun. Which it probably shouldn't be looked as good fun, but it was.
Yeah.
And then we got asked if we could go down to do long-range trips and pick up stuff that were for undercover ops that the Americans were doing. And yeah, we did that as well. So we were well involved, and to me, it was well worthwhile, because while we were taking off cocaine and stuff like that, far out at sea, you know, down as far as Colombia, obviously, you know, off of Jamaica and such, you stopping it coming to us.
Absolutely.
So, you know, because, you know, it's the way it was.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the gangs, they don't take money, they'll take a percentage of the load and then sell it.
Right.
So they'll make it into crack and sell it within your, you know, in your jurisdiction. So
absolutely,
to get it off the street is the main deal. So, you know, there was all that going on, and it was exciting and it was good fun. And I say, working with a good team of people, I have to take my hat off to them. I still see a few of the guys. Some have obviously retired like me. I think now, I mean, I've been left 19 years now.
Oh wow!
So,
okay.
Well, nearly 19 years in February. It'll be 19 years since I'll be left. So it's you know, quite a. People say, "Oh, come here, we remember you, Mr. Haynes, when you back in the police. Why don't you go back?" I'm too old. I'm 76 now. I mean, sort of there's a limit. So
absolutely.
But anyway, so that was good, and I suppose there was various things that I remember. The prison riot in '99, which was quite a bad time.
I remember,
And then, of course, probably the biggest problem ever to the Cayman Islands at that time was when Ivan barreled into town about 20 years plus now.
Yeah.
And but if you like, I was operational commander during and after, and so it was a great experience. And if you like, as I was coming to the end of my career, as it turned out to be the end of my career, the fact that you know, I got a command of that nature was a great experience for me, and I felt that the majority of the Cayman people reacted to it very well. And I think we came through it and rebuilt with the energy to it was great, really, with a few exceptions, unfortunately, but it's the way life is. But we got out of it and built up.
Absolutely. So let's talk about what is in this book. I mean, obviously I want people to check this book out. Just hold it up so everybody can see exactly what it looks like. It's a very beautiful cover. And it says Hazardous Waters, a Detective's Memoir. So how much is that covering your entire career, or is it just mostly what happened in the Cayman Islands, or what can we expect? I'm just going to grab it from here, but what can we expect having a read of this?
It is the 40 years I'm in the police, mainly.
Yeah. But
it starts off with how I got interested in it. You know, the genesis of it. Is a wolf cub that I mentioned earlier. I was running home from the PAC meeting one evening, and there's 3 or 4 guys climbing over to a roof above a butcher's shop, obviously up to no good. And I ran down and in the police box, as they used to have in those days, there's a picture in there of one. And if those who've watched Doctor Who know what the TARDIS is and the police box, that's exactly where I went. There was a policeman there, fortunately, and he rounded up, I obviously called for assistance, and they locked up these guys for burglary. So that piqued me interest as well, and so that started me on that road. If you like, it starts when I'm about a 9-year-old, and then just with those mentions, and then it covers my time as a cadet. Obviously not a big deal, a long time about that, and then goes through the different departments. There's a CID officer in the UK, and then special branch, which is the intel and immigration, looking after royalty, looking after VIPs as protection officers, and so on. Generally looking for spies as well with the MI5, so it was quite an interesting badge. Then Hong Kong, back to the UK, and then to Turks, Caicos, and then to here. And I've selected various cases and stories that I thought would be of interest to people.
Absolutely.
But I was talking about the covert operations, but a lot of them are very similar to each other. So there's no point in just and then. Yes. I've taken things where.
So you picked a selection.
A selection of them. Yeah. Actually, it leaves the door open. If it goes well, I could.
There could be a part 2.
Part 2. Yes, indeed. But it works out quite well.
Yeah. Wow.
And those who have already read it. The feedback's been very good. I know people are not going to come and say, well, that was a load of rubbish, Ainsley. They've actually, but they have taken the time to say how much they enjoyed it. And
you get some interesting chapter titles here. This one says The Motorcycle Man.
Yeah.
That one's a bit short.
It is, and it actually nearly finished me off. I've never ridden a motorbike in my life, and that was a big, powerful machine.
Wow.
And I got a very big telling off from Helen when I got home, because I looked like a second-hand dartboard.
Yeah.
I knew, how it happened, and I came off it and landed in the bushes, which are quite spiky in the Turks. So that's a short one. I just put it in as just to show that not everything I put my hand on turned to gold.
So, Matt, you've got so much packed in here. I'm just having a sort of first flip through it, and I noticed that sometimes you don't, and you probably couldn't, give full names. So you're talking about this FBI informant named Pete in Pembroke Pines. So, I mean, your tentacles were kind of all over the place as far as your job went.
Yeah, I did. I was in the United States, Canada, and other parts of the Americas. So that, and as I say, I was with the drug enforcement conference people, so that covered. We were all over the place, really. So I used to go up to Key West, where they've got the the southern area task forces are there, and they actually run all of the navies that are working in the Caribbean. They oversee what's going on. So it did get me into various places.
Yeah.
And interesting stuff.
Yeah. And it seems like it's quite an easy read. I think people are actually going to enjoy this. Do you think there'll be some local people who read this, might pick up on some characters in it? You talk about this one here, Mr. Smith. Was it Smokey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was he a local fella? Was he in the U.S.?
Smokey was Turks and Caicos.
That was Turks and Caicos. Okay.
Yeah, he was a cocaine. He was a cocaine lad, a mate, a man, and not my favourite person. But, but he died anyway. He's dead now. So. But yes, I didn't. I think if I've been careful with regard to the naming of people. Certainly, if somebody's name just because I'd had a disagreement with them for some reason or other, then I might say their position, but I don't say the name.
Right.
I suppose it'd be quite easy for people to work out who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I didn't write the book in order to slag people off.
Yeah.
I wrote it because of the interest that's involved in it.
Right.
If somebody's already passed on, then I'm okay with putting the names in. People like
Right.
Sheldon Brown,
Yeah.
who was a bit notorious from here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's out to me, but I'm not going to, if somebody's been into jail to come out again, I'm not going to spoil their life if they're trying now to go straight, if you understand me.
So we see mention of Goat Yard in West Bay.
That was the first job I was in.
Wow.
Hit when I got here. I think 2 days after I arrived, we were up there.
Oh my gosh. Seems like everywhere you went, you had to hit the ground running.
Yes.
It was always busy.
You're always busy. And of course, the experience you build up over those years and in those sort of backgrounds and working with people who have also experienced people. So, when you're working with the DA, you got their idea on how things were, you got your own ideas and you could have your chats and get things together. And it worked out really well. I mean, there's one there where actually I was with the FBI, had asked for some assistance, and they didn't do it. They were a bit odd about how they did things. Not all of them. There were some excellent officers, but their ideas on how to go about, how to get through a case, were sort of cross to what you knew was safe and what was right to do. So there's one of those stories in there where somebody, I think if I hadn't given him the advice and got in touch with their superiors, I think he'd have been at the bottom of the sea by the time this came to pass.
Yes.
Because he just didn't seem to get it. And the other thing is that's unfortunate, really, is that, as I say, I'm not here to slag anybody off.
Yeah.
I worked a lot with the DEA and really became friends with their officers there and with the FBI too. So they're all right, seem to be working with us from the Caymans and wherever. But you try and get the DEA and the FBI to work together, it's just like you see on the TV. They don't want, it's like they want that job and they'll spoil something in order to get it rather than work together.
Right. So there's some competitive nature between agencies.
And it's so counterproductive. What are you doing?
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
To catch the bad guys, not to fight us over the job
yourselves.
And look, aren't we clever? So.
Yeah. So some major takeaways you've got listed on the back, and the first one is so incredibly interesting. How weak management can lead to corruption and the breakdown of public confidence. That's so interesting, not just from a policing perspective, but just leadership in general.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean,
and it concerns me about the leadership thing. So I don't care whether you're leading from the upper deck. It's the absolute. Whether you're the governor or the chief of police or the chief of wherever.
Yeah.
I don't care what level you're at. Or as a sergeant, you've got a duty to ensure that the people below you are operating at the top of what they can do. They're not lazing around. Obviously, if it gets as far as corruption, and I had to lock up one of my guys for arrest for corruption, he was convicted of it. And the problem with that is then nobody trusts you.
Right.
And
that's not a good position to be in.
How do you go to the public
and
say, oh, help us with this, and then they worry that you're going to spill their name to whoever's there, because it can get dangerous. We all know that.
Absolutely.
And so you've got to put, if you're going to be in this sort of work, you've got to have integrity. You've got to be honest, you've got to have integrity, and you've got to protect people. And then you stand there that people will come in to talk to you.
Yep.
And unfortunately, in some of the places I've been, that's been a little bit lacking on occasions. I'm trying to be kind here and not to slag people off. But,
No, we hear it here. I've gone to community meetings in Windsor Park, and they say, I called the police and I report this house is, selling liquor. We know they don't have a liquor license, so they're illegally selling it, and there are allegations of drugs and other things going on there. And before I hang up the phone, the neighbor's calling me, cursing me out, saying, why did I call the police? Now, obviously, anything that erodes the public confidence, especially in police, is quite dangerous, because you need the community to help you to do your job and be able to give you, hopefully useful information to get the bad guys off the streets.
Well, I was proud to be a police officer. and as a British officer, and then of course later, as I happened to be, because after I retired from the British, the Comanian government kept me on doing the same job, and I was proud of it. And in the British system, and we're in the British system generally speaking, we are policing by consent. If you don't have the consent of the public, you go nowhere. So what you've got to do in order to get there is to earn that respect.
Right.
Let people see that whatever you're doing is right and proper. You can't be, having payoffs and, not doing somebody. And I know it's difficult in a country where we're so small and people have got family and friends.
Everybody knows each other.
Everybody knows everybody. The only way, to me, is you have to ignore all of that and make sure that what you're doing is the straight line. There's no forks in the, it's got to be right. Then you'll get not only the consent of the public, you'll get their assistance to it too, and that's very important.
Absolutely. Now you've been awarded. This is you here being awarded the Queen's Medal, Police Medal, in 2005. So there you are, Queen Elizabeth II. Wow, that must have been quite a moment at Buckingham Palace.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been at the palace I've got 3 birthday honours awards from the Queen, all of them from the Queen.
Right.
I still have difficulty to sing "God Save the King."
Yes, you said it for so long. Yeah.
So bred it in a. You get to the Queen bit, and you think, no, hang on a minute.
Yes.
But I thought she was a wonderful woman.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate, and not only that, I was able to take Helen and my son and daughter to the palace as well. For
that's amazing.
And I was there for my MBE, which was in 2015. And I was there with Ginny Hobday. So we were there both getting our medals at the same, not at the same time, obviously, but in the line. And I felt that was really good. Ginny certainly deserved her medal, for sure. She's been an absolute star when it comes to working with, cancer and the jasmine and all those sort of things.
So we get a few photos towards the end of the book, which, you touched on Hurricane Ivan a little bit. So we saw your home looks like it got destroyed.
It wasn't fun.
Wow. I mean, I look at this and it's furniture everywhere and oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, well what happened was that the dock that we used to have out here, it was the second dock, so I don't know why we bothered building a second one, but that broke up and a quarter of it went onto the roof of the gym and did some damage. But then another quarter came into that corner of the house, and there's a sort of a little store cupboard there, and then it broke through, if you like, and that broke the shield that the wall would have given. Consequently, then, of course, once you get the water in, there's no stopping it, and it comes. So, and it was wet upstairs, but the tide mark in here was only about half an inch from the ceiling. So all of this was washed out, as you can see in that picture. And I've actually called the picture "Home Sweet Home," and yes, it was 14 months before we got back in here.
Wow.
One thing that helped me on that is that my son was here on leave from university. So like a lot of the guys from the rugby club as well, I swore them as special constables because we were short on the ground.
Right.
And so he helped out there. He got a commendation for what he did, as did quite a lot of the other officers, quite rightly so. Fortunately though, my wife was in the UK with our daughter, who was going to medical school. She was just starting in medical school. So I didn't have to worry about them because they were on the other side of the Atlantic safe. There's no point in worrying about the house because it was busted. So I just, I was sort of actually just wandering around, and Mike Burkham, who, him and his wife Joyce, very good friends, and they put me up for a few weeks at their place because I hadn't got anywhere to stay. And then I went to different people who helped me out in where I could stay during that time. I finished up actually on the PA to the governor. I finished, they've got a garage there by their house, and they've got a sort of sofa bed in there. So that's where I spent the last few weeks, was in
oh my goodness,
living in a garage. But I mean, It was an interesting times. That's what the Chinese say.
Yes.
May you live in interesting times, and that was very interesting.
Yep. There's a chapter here that says the day that we saved Cayman Airways. I might skip to that one first. I'm curious to see. Well, don't tell us. Don't tell anybody. But
okay. But I did. I mean, that's it. I know it's not meant to be a brag. It's a bit tongue in cheek saying that, but it's true.
Yeah. Okay.
And you'll see why I've said so.
Yeah. You put the stories in here so that if somebody wanted to skip around, like if I wanted to read that chapter first and then go back, it seems easy enough to kind of do that.
Sure.
So I like how that's.
Sandra, I'm a simple bloke. So it's good. So you can expect that the reading of that book's going to be simple.
Yeah, no, I like that about it. Right. Now, post-retirement, you've become known as a bit of a runner. Yeah. Did you run beforehand, or was this something you kind of started to have something to do after you retired?
I brought running with me. So
okay.
I like to think I've never retired, because when I left the police, I went to DART as their head of security, and health and safety was involved too.
Yeah.
So that was very good. And of course, in those days, well, Commander Bay was still a flat piece of ground. So I learned a lot more about life than just running after bad guys.
Yeah.
It was, learning what I thought a lift station was an elevator and not somewhere where people's poo went. So
yeah.
You know what I mean? And the people up there were so good to me and taught me how things work. And so I got quite a lot out of that job, and I was with them for 12 years.
Wow. Okay.
But then it came time for retirement, and my son immediately said, kindly glad that he is, Dad, you're not retiring. You can't retire because you're not that sort of guy. You're going to die. So we set up this company, Ames Disaster Consultancy, and that's been now 6 years.
Okay.
And it's going, reasonably well.
Yeah.
I write plans for companies, disaster management, business continuity, and it's going well. So I might as well stay at it while I can still do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I also got into the running, which was your original question.
Yes.
I'm sorry about jumping about.
Yeah.
But I started running when I was in Hong Kong. There was a tendency, because they picked us up in a bus in the morning to take us down to the office, and then we worked from there, and so on and so forth. I started to put on a bit of a colonial podge, I suppose. So I determined it was time to get fit again, because I was playing rugby. I played rugby for a team in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And the first day I went running down the road, and after a mile I thought I was going to die. So then I learnt my lesson, and I sort of walk from one light post to another, then jog, and then do it like that until I got better, and then I'd put the light poles together. And then eventually I was getting up and doing sort of 16, 17 miles running on a Sunday, and then a New Zealand mate joined me. And then there's a few more running, and they said, let's have a go at running a marathon. So in 82, in the autumn of 82, we went down to Macau and ran the Macau Marathon. And I managed it in, I can remember, it's 3 hours 46, which isn't too shabby for a first attempt. And then the following year we all went over to London and ran the London Marathon, and that was the first, and then I went back to the UK. So that was the first of 9 London marathons I did on an annual event.
Right.
And a mate of mine, he says, Derek, people get charity money for this. Why don't you try and raise some money? And so that started in London, in Leicester, but the London Marathon, where I'd raise money for mental health issue thing, which obviously because of my brother had a big part of my life.
Right.
And then I came overseas. Turks and Caicos wasn't easy to try and get anything charitably, so it didn't work, and they hadn't got any running there either. So there was a bit of a hiatus there. But when I got to Cayman and started again, oh boy, the Cayman people! I've got to say to the Cayman people how thankful and grateful I am for how generous they are. I mean, when you think how the collection for the hospice, including, and Ken Dark gave us the land to put the hospice on, but that built the hospice. They hadn't got one, and then all of a sudden we've got this lovely place, as I'm sure you've been around it, up on the West Bay Road.
Yes.
And then people would say, "Oh, Derek, we need something Special Olympics, need a bus." And so, you know, you put that out and go and see people and drop the money in and, you know, climb mountains and volcanoes and all this sort of stuff.
Anything to raise the funds,
and raise the funds. And it seems to have worked. Now, the only thing is that, and I've done it with mates, you know, Burko again, you know, walking down the Pyrenees, that was another $1 million that was raised for inclusion.
How much money do you think you've raised through your efforts?
Well, according to Brett Hill, who's with Fidelity, you know, Royal Fidelity now, it tells me he's worked it out and it's north of 10 million. So it's, you know, it's gone pretty well.
That's quite good.
But I just, you know, I'm pleased that people trust us because they know that when we do anything, if I'm, you know, if I'm doing it, then all the expenses are paid for by us. You know, it's all self-funded, so we don't take anything. You put your $10 in, that $10 goes to the charity. Goes
Wonderful.
There, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
You know, to me, you shouldn't be doing things just because they're paying for my holiday. You know, I enjoy doing what I do. Of course I do. And so and people under the Rotary Grand Cayman umbrella. You know, I've been with them. I've been a member of there since probably 25 years in the year. So they've been the umbrella.
Yeah.
And people trust us. I mean, people stop me in the street and ask me in the same way to you. You know, when you're doing your next one, and or they'll wave to me out the car window, and I really like it. It's nice.
Yeah.
People say hello to me and so on. And I'm not doing for the pat on the head. You know, I'm not a dog, but I mean, it's nice that people
recognize still.
Yeah, and
the
so
amazing work.
You know, somebody's talking to me on Radio Cayman, and I said the charitable behaviour of people in Cayman is absolutely outstanding. I mean, you try and raise that sort of money in England, you're lucky if you can get $5 grand, you know.
Wow.
Very lucky if you can get.
Yes. All right. So I'm going to give you the book back. Tell us a little bit about how people can get a copy. Obviously, this is a hard book. Is it available like in an ebook format as well?
It's available on
Amazon,
on Kindle.
On Kindle, so you can get it
on Kindle, and if you put in the title of Hazardous Waters and the author is Derek Haynes, that'll take you there, and you've got a choice of the Kindle. You've got the paperback, I think they call them, you know, which is this one.
Yeah.
And then there's a hardcover. And they've only just arrived in the island, but I can tell you, I'm really impressed with that copy.
Yeah. And so the local bookstores will have them as well.
It's actually going, I suppose it's my dark background, but they've jumped in straight away.
Okay, yeah.
The Next Chapter, as it's called now. And for those who don't know, that was where Books and Books was at Kamana Bay. So they're selling them. The paperback is $19.75. The hardcover is $49.75. I think the Kindle is around about $5, somewhere there. So there's something for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've certainly now seen the hardcover. I'm impressed with the pictures. That, you know, that it's more of a glossy finish, isn't it? So, but yeah, so you can get that at the Next Chapter. Oh yeah, you're right. It is a mess, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a nice one here of Helen Kilpatrick. I nearly said Kilkenny there because that's a beer I like. But Helen Kilpatrick, who, you know, is a former governor.
Yeah.
There's a picture of her in here holding my hand as we ran across the marathon line back in 2014 to finish the 6 marathons that I ran in different parts of the world.
Right.
To raise money for what is now called Jasmine, or the hospice, you know, Jasmine. And my wife's part of that line, and my daughter Lizzie, who also ran the marathon that day, and the other person who ran it was Joey's wife, Cindy.
Ah, yes. Okay.
And
very good.
she ran it as well. And well, Cindy and myself were running partners for you know, years.
Wow.
And so it was good fun. But there's the 5 of us running across the line. And that very morning, we heard that the cash support had just gone over the $1 million mark. So I mean, it was quite a momentous feeling, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
So it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
but
nice.
Yeah, but when you came to that early on, you've got what you will discover about it in this book, and I think as we were explaining about corruption, it's you see it down Ireland. It's happened again, isn't it? They did it in the Turks and Caicos. It finished up, the chief minister, as he was then, being locked up for cocaine trafficking. Then we're in the BVI, British Virgin Islands, and it's happened again.
Yep.
And how can you expect people to invest in your country when that sort of behaviour is going on?
Exactly.
So,
very detrimental. Well, I think people are going to enjoy the book. Everyone grab a copy, have a read. We keep talking about kicking off a book club, and I think we're gonna do it and just get people some copies of this book, trying to encourage people to read more. Yeah. And this is certainly one of those very, very interesting reads. So thank you so much for taking time out of I know you're still busy. As you said, you'll never retire. So you keep busy, and I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule.
Sandra, thanks very much, and thanks for coming round. And hopefully people will enjoy the read. The picture on the front of it, I can just tell you, that's a Black Hawk, and that's the aircraft that we use, or one of that type of aircraft that we used from the Turks and Caicos, out of Great Inagua. That's where the base was.
Right.
And we on this joint operation with them.
Yeah.
But absolutely superb piece of kit.
Yeah.
Expensive mine, but fortunately the Americans paid for it.
Yes.
And of course these are the sort of boats, the different sorts of craft that people use to travel and steal, bring drugs in and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So hopefully you people out there will enjoy the book, and and those who buy it, I'm very pleased to hear it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks again, Sandra. Have a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.